Day afternoons 3 to 7 p.m. on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. Portions of the following program were pre-recorded. Everything Tampa Bay sports. We are 95.3 W237CW Pinellas Park, WRUB HD3 Clearwater, and the mighty AM 620 WDAE St. Petersburg, an iHeart radio station.
It's time, man! The stage is set!
Welcome.
Welcome home, baby. I like this kind of party!
Putting the fun in dysfunctional. Each and every weekday morning, the Pat and Aaron Show.
It's a little too early for being that loud.
Good morning, Tampa Bay.
And here we go.
Now your hosts, Pat Donovan and Aaron Jacobson.
Good morning, goons. Welcome to the Pat and Aaron Show, 95.3 WDAE and AM 620, coming to you live on a Dignitary Thursday. We believe we're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube and Twitch, maybe Facebook. I don't know. We're live on the internet. We're live on your radios. It's the Pat and Aaron Show on a Dignitary Thursday. Ian Beckles will be with us for the 8 o'clock hour, as he was last week and will be every week.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning to you, my friend.
How we doing?
I'm well.
I'm well.
I feel awake this morning.
Me too.
It's weird because I thought I was going to have one of those mornings where I was like dragging ass to start the show. You know, you have those days where you're like, I just got to wake up.
Never in my life.
Don't lie to me.
Every day.
There's plenty of days for sure. Today I woke up like I didn't realize what time it was. My cat woke me up and was like, yo, treat time. Let's go.
Treat time.
For real. Like, she'll wake me up and be like, this is it. You're going to give me treats or I'm going to sit in your face and cry until you get out of bed. It's terrible. So I did the thing where you like try to keep your eyes kind of closed and like maybe you have to go to the bathroom, whatever it is. But like, you know, when you wake up and you've got to like really quickly do what you're trying to do and get back to bed so you can fall back to sleep.
Yes. And because if you miss that window and you do it too long, you're not getting back to bed.
Exactly. So I like raced out to give her treats, put the treats on the tree, right back into bed. And I laid back in bed and I looked at the clock and it said like 3:58. And I usually get up at 4 a.m. And I'm like, oh.
You look wide awake. Casey, good to see you today. I feel good. My ear's still all clogged. But aside from that, feel great. And we got college football playoff tonight. Notre Dame, Penn State. Then we've got more action tomorrow, and we've got NFL Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Well, Sunday, of course, is the night that I'm most looking forward to. Obviously.
I think we all are, but we get a nice little couple appetizers, a couple like main entrees, and into another the main entree.
Well, the real entree, I think we got some. I would say fairly good news yesterday.
I agree.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers put out their first injury report of the week. Now, the designations when it comes to practice yesterday are not actually about guys practicing. Here's what it says on the injury report. And the reason why is the Bucs just had a walkthrough yesterday. And that's what it says on the injury report. The Buccaneers conducted a walkthrough. The practice report is an estimation. Meaning, again, guys didn't really practice. Nobody ran yesterday, so you can't really say these guys actually practiced. But if they were to have practiced, and that's the way that Todd Bowles put it, and we'll have some of his comments for you as well, it's a really good-looking injury report for the Buccaneers when it comes to how banged up they've been in the past. Now, there's guys you're going to be without question, but to see, and first and foremost, I think the first thing we all noticed, Antoine Winfield Jr., listed as a full participant. Look, it was just a walkthrough, but the suggestion is if they were to have practiced, that Antoine would have been a full go. And if you're a full go on Wednesday, that almost always means you're playing on Sunday. And I don't know where Antoine Winfield Jr. is going to be compared to who we're used to him being. But, man, just having him on the football field is going to be big.
You never know. You never know when a guy like Antoine Winfield Jr. can make a big play. Now, you got to think about it. If Jordan Whitehead doesn't get in that unfortunate, if he doesn't get in that car accident, you're talking about looking like you're getting back to health from the safety position. But Jordan Whitehead is not going to play. He's dealing with the neck injury. And
he's done for
the year. So, so this is just even more so. You need Antoine Winfield Jr. back to be the field general back there. And Has he had the season that we've all expected or have seen from Antoine Winfield Jr.?
He's barely been on the field.
But when he has been on the field, he's looked hampered all season long.
Yeah.
He's been beat up by something
He's been hampered all
season long. So
our live stream is hampered right now.
That's fine.
Only my face on there. I'm trying to fix it here.
Don't worry about it. He was right. Becomes a distraction. But yeah, we all know Antoine Winfield Jr. needs to be there. But this weekend, we're going to see a lot. I mean, think about it. We need Antoine Winfield Jr. back. Think about if you're an Eagles fan, if you're a Packers fan, you need your quarterback healthy and ready to go. Yeah. You need Jalen Hurts ready to go, who's dealing with injuries. You need Jordan Love, who left Week 18 because of an elbow injury, didn't come back. You need those guys. I mean, first and foremost, when you're in the playoffs, offensive league right now, who do you need healthy? Your quarterback.
Listen, even before it was an offensive league, even in the 80s, right? Dan Marino, they ran the ball a lot back then, but you needed your quarterback out there. There are very few Jeff Hostettlers in the history of this league. I'm trying to think of other Nick Foles.
Yeah, the Nick Foles is the best example.
Well, maybe to you.
To me, he is.
For some people, they think it's Jeff Hostetler.
Yeah. To me, it's Nick Foles. Who else did it? Some people did it. Some other people did it.
There have not been many to the point where you're saying some other people have done it. But a lot of news for the Buccaneers. Not all of it good. Another piece of good news for the Buccaneers: Yaya Diaby. I was a little bit surprised by this. I knew he had a really good game, but I didn't know that he'd have a defensive player of the week kind of game. But that's exactly what Yaya Diaby was named, was defensive player of the week. That also good news. On the nervous side of things,
I'm always nervous.
Where, of course, we've talked a lot about Liam Cohen and the fact that Liam Cohen could potentially accept a job with the Jacksonville Jaguars or potentially somewhere else. I think the Jaguars are the only team we know has requested an interview. Baker was kind of funny about that yesterday. But regardless, we've been concerned about Liam Cohen. We've also talked a lot about, over the year and the last couple years, really, the job that guys like Mike Greenberg, like John Spytek have done for this football team and helping Jason Light build this roster and navigate the salary cap. And as a matter of fact, the article in the Tampa Bay Times that Rick Stroud wrote, he uses the word savant, salary cap savant, when it comes to Mike Greenberg. And we're probably... I suspect there's a decent chance we could lose Mike Greenberg. The fact that he's interviewing with the New York Jets, where he was an intern, doesn't sound good.
Grew up a Jets fan too, so that's a dream job for someone who's from New York and started there as an intern, even though he's been with the Bucs forever, and that's your team. I totally would understand if he did that.
You're Mike Greenberg. You're Mike Greenberg. I'm Woody Johnson. Do you ask? You sit down across from the table and he's interviewing you to be the next general manager of the New York Jets.
When you're talking to Woody Johnson's son?
Or, yeah, maybe him. Do you go, be honest with me now, did you turn down a trade for Jerry Jeudy because of his Madden rating? I got to know. If I'm interviewing for that job, I've got hand. He wants me to be his next general manager. Yeah. If he's smart, he does. And if I'm Mike Greenberg, I've got hand. That's the way I look at it.
That's your question? That's your main question?
I got to know.
I like it.
I've got to know. If you're Mike Greenberg, do you not have to know?
I mean, there's a lot of other things I'd like to know. If I'm Mike Greenberg.
Listen, that to me it sounds silly, and it is silly. It's also kind of crucial. If you're that guy, I don't know if I want to work for you.
That's why I think you need to get a gauge. When you're walking into a New York Jets organization and you're potentially going to take that job, you need to look at that organization. You need to be in it and go, okay, is this something that I could be okay with?
What better gauge than is he Madden guy?
Well, considering what he's come from, and it's amazing the turnaround. And he's been a big part of it. He's been here when it was bad, and he's been here when it's been really good. Of what this organization is and how a really great organization is run.
So he's not alone when it comes to interviewing. John Spytek now. And it could be really interesting because both these guys could leave and become a general manager. We've heard and talked so much about coaching trees. We might have to talk about Jason Light's GM tree pretty soon because John Spytek is going to be interviewing for the Tennessee Titans general manager job. So when you have success And I think you can't look at this Buccaneer team and being in the playoffs 5 years in a row. By the way, winning a Super Bowl during that streak. And I think that's sometimes overlooked when it comes to, and Buccaneer fans, I think, sometimes overlook this when it comes to the team that we've had here in Tampa Bay and the success that they've had here in Tampa Bay. A lot of teams, and we've had this conversation, a lot of teams, when they win a Super Bowl, after the Super Bowl, there is the reckoning. Because everybody gets paid. And either they get paid with you and your roster can't sustain it, or they get paid elsewhere and you need to rebuild your roster.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to maintain success after a Super Bowl victory, especially when you've got a guy like Tom Brady coming off the books and that dead cap money. And a lot of people would have had trouble navigating that situation.
And the guys who get paid are guys that are very helpful in that run, but they're not top-tier guys, and they're not worth the money that they sometimes get after winning a Super Bowl, being part of that team.
Yeah, sometimes. And sometimes it's the guys that you keep, and they do deserve the money, right? And that's why you give them that. But either way, it impacts your roster, and it's usually very difficult to stay competitive after winning a Super Bowl, after going all in the way that they did, being able to bring everyone back the following season. Like, these things don't generally happen. Obviously, it didn't work out the next year because Ryan Jensen got hurt and the offensive line fell apart, and Tom Brady said, I'm good with this. I'm just going to throw the ball into the dirt. But they had another opportunity, and instead of falling apart after that, which I think a lot of rosters would, a lot of teams would, they've stayed competitive. And now guys like John Spytek and Mike Greenberg, they're going to start getting some of the credit along with Jason Light. I've seen this year so many times on Twitter somebody in the media, and it's usually pretty smart guys, or even NFL executives, when talking to people in the media, talking about how much Jason Light has been overlooked as an executive and should be up for Executive of the Year. And he's starting to get his credit. And again, so are guys like Spytek and Greenberg, and eventually that's not going to be good for the Buccaneers. But you have to hope, as I think it was Corey said this yesterday, right, that they've got the right people in place to be able to maintain that
They've got your cravings covered.
Now, back to the Pat and Aaron Show on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. Top headlines.
It is time for today's top headlines with Casey Warner, and I have a headline for you right now. Did you know the iHeartRadio app is really the new iHeartRadio app, and this thing is sweet. You got to look at this. I'm going to show you on the live stream. If you're watching on our live stream, look at what you can do now with the new iHeartRadio app. See up here at the top? That is like a live radio dial. You can actually scan, just like you do in your car, right across live radio stations from all over the country. And you pick ones you love, like, I don't know, this one, and you put it up here on your presets. So you've got a live radio dial and you got presets.
Yeah, it's really easy. I checked it out during the holiday when we were away. I've already got Pat and Aaron Show on the preset. You can get whatever you want on the preset. And then you can discover what I really like about this. They have the scan button and trending rankers, so you can kind of see what's trending around.
Do you think we're trending?
I don't know if we're get us trending out there, people.
Guys, make us trend.
So for the new year, reset with the presets. It's really cool and really easy, and I love it. And that's what we do on the iHeartRadio app. And you want to know the best part about it, Pat?
What's the best part?
It's all free.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that we're on there.
Oh, that too. Well, that's second best. Free. You know I love free.
Free is for me.
Free wins. Top headlines, Casey Warner.
Those are free too. And I tell you what's not free is injuries on this weekend's NFL playoff games.
No, actually, those are free. It's not going to cost us anything.
It might cost a team a win.
Well, no, that was brilliant.
Yeah?
I'll just shut the hell up now.
Okay, so Zay Flowers is reportedly a long shot to play on Saturday for the Ravens. That's really the only noteworthy injury in that game. Broncos, Bills, no noteworthy injuries. And then Packers versus Eagles, of course, you all mentioned that in the opening segment. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts practiced for the first time since sustaining a concussion back on December 22nd. He's also dealing with a left finger injury. He practiced in limited capacity yesterday, and Jordan Love also returned to practice in a limited fashion on Wednesday. He and head coach Matt LaFleur didn't really say much about it. LaFleur just said he was limited, and he just practiced on a limited basis, kept it very short with him.
Backup versus backup. Philly versus first
Green Bay.
Green Bay. Who do you like? Malik Willis? He doesn't do anything for me.
I like Malik Willis. I want Green Bay to win. I mean, I'm not sure how much I like him. Like, I don't know how much I like Kenny Pickett either, though. I'm going to take Green. I'm rooting for Green Bay so we can get another home game.
So Malik Willis versus Kenny Pickett. You're taking Willis.
I am, yeah.
Aren't they the same draft class?
Whoa. Did you catch that?
What?
I think they may be the same draft class. I'm not 100% sure. Casey Warner just said he would take Malik Willis. Mm-hmm. When he also said that Kenny Pickett and Russell Wilson are comparable quarterbacks.
That's right.
That's hilarious. I mean, I'd say they're all three, average to below average, but just give me Malik Willis based off of his rushing ability,
They're all average to below average, and one of them's a Hall of Famer,
Let's see, because I know Malik Willis is taking...
I mean, Russell Wilson ain't playing like a Hall of Famer right now, but, he might get there one day.
I think he goes in.
I'm usually better.
I don't even like the guy, but I think he goes in.
I just know that draft class wasn't very good when it comes to the quarterback.
Is Russell Wilson more of a Hall of Famer than Eli Manning?
Yes.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
I mean,
You
listen.
think so?
Eli's got history.
Wow.
Eli's got the history on his side, and the NFL and the Pro Football Hall of Fame, they care about history. That's why Eli is going in. When you look at the two as players, as quarterbacks, if I'm going to be completely unbiased, which I have to as part of my job, I do think Russell Wilson was the better quarterback.
Yeah, at his peak. I agree with that.
Bigger douchebag, though, I'll tell you that.
It was Desmond Ridder and Malik Willis that year. Mm-hmm. There were no quarterbacks taken in the first two rounds of that draft.
First two rounds.
Yeah.
That never happened.
Sorry, Kenny Pickett was. Kenny Pickett was the first one in that one. First round. Aside from that, it didn't go till Desmond Ridder.
Kenny was like 30, 31, somewhere in there. Like, Kenny was late, right?
Could you imagine? Kenny actually was middle of
Was he middle?
Yeah, he was 20.
All right.
Just imagine that. Kenny Pickett against Malik Willis in the playoffs, which was a horrible quarterback draft class. And it's because of injuries. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that.
Except for the opponent of whoever wins.
It just means a lot more Saquon. A lot of Saquon, a lot of Josh Jacobs
there
action,
will be a ton of Saquon on Sunday.
which is going to be pretty
Saturday?
entertaining if you ask me. Yeah, Saturday night. So More NFL news here. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick have reportedly looked into a possible reunion in Las Vegas, but it is not going to happen according to Bill Belichick. Tom Brady still reached out, though. According to NFL media, multiple NFL teams have inquired about whether Belichick would consider stepping down from his recently acquired job at University of North Carolina, even though the coach states he is there to stay.
If there's any coach that would join a team as a head coach and then leave a couple weeks later, it would be Bill Belichick.
What do you mean? He would never do such a thing.
Man.
Yeah, it's not like he hasn't done that before in the NFL.
I wonder, I saw somebody on X yesterday. It was like, I wonder if he'd leave a note on a UNC napkin.
And by the way, for people that don't know, that's exactly what he did with the Jets.
Yeah. But listen, I don't know about you guys, but first of all, I was surprised that you said they were both looking into it, because I think Tom Brady was looking into it. Bill Belichick was not, to be clear. But I'm personally surprised by this. I did not think that Tom Brady, as a part owner of a team, would want to go out and try to get Bill Belichick as the coach of said team.
Because you think he just wants to separate from that?
I don't think he hates Bill Belichick, but
he wants to do it on his own.
Part of the reason, no, I don't even think it's that. I think if they had a different relationship, maybe he does want to bring Bill Belichick in. But and he obviously he did, so I was wrong. But my assumption was, we all thought there was part of coming to Tampa Bay was there was a lot of reasons he wanted to get out of New England, and I didn't know that he would want to bring those reasons to a new franchise.
When did that happen? The separation from New England.
What do you mean? Like at the end of his career?
What was it, 6 years ago?
2019.
6 years ago? Time heals all wounds.
But it's not about wounds, Aaron. It's about he didn't love the culture and like what it was like showing up to practice every day. And if you didn't love that, why would you want to bring that to the new franchise that you're helping run?
I think at that point in Tom's career, he didn't want that. I think if you look back to Tom, and I think when Tom looks back now that he's been out of football, he goes, well, that was good for me. And it was good for the team. And he understands that. And for him at that time, Tom wanted to have some fun.
Yeah.
Warm weather Tom wanted to come out. He did that. He's not a player anymore. He's an executive. So he's going to do what's best for the team as a guy who is a part owner of the team. He's going to do what's best. And if he thinks Bill Belichick is what's best to get the organization in the right direction, that's what he's going to do.
You and I are going to do what's best for the Goon Squad, and they want to have fun. And that's why we've got a pair of Lightning tickets for tonight at Amalie Arena against the stinking Boston Bruins, who, by the way, we're giving those away at 7:15. Speaking of the Boston Bruins and top headlines, the Tampa Bay Lightning, they are going to be playing the Boston Bruins. And we'll tell you when they're going to be playing the Boston Bruins, because it's a big deal. They're playing them tonight, and at 7:15, one of you is going to win a pair of tickets to see them tonight. But they've got another date with the Boston Bruins that is going to be awesome. And we're going to tell you about that on the other side. But first, when we get to that game, that incredible game between the Boston Bruins and the Tampa Bay Lightning, what do we hope most for?
Oh, my gosh, you're doing this?
We hope all the stars are on the ice, Aaron Jacobson.
No injuries?
We hope that none of them are dealing with injuries. But inevitably, hockey players, they often do deal with injuries. And inevitably in life, a lot of us deal with injuries. But the good news is, if you're dealing with an injury, just like a hockey player or a football player or anybody else, well, you've got access to world-class orthopedic care right in your own backyard with Florida Orthopedic Institute in partnership with Tampa General Hospital.
Yeah, the highly skilled, board-certified physicians and surgeons at Florida Orthopedic Institute, they're going to make sure that whatever you're dealing with, they're going to get you right, and they will let you know what you're dealing with. And to access that world-class orthopedic care right here in Tampa Bay, call 1-800-FL.
Go Bucks! 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Pat Aaron, 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. A lot of you thought this idea was crazy. And we've been asking about it / talking about it for years. I asked Commissioner Bettman, we were at, when the Lightning had the not the Stanley Cup final, but when they had the All-Star game here in Tampa Bay, there were a lot of different events around town. And that's back when I was part-time and covering stuff for the station and this and that. So I ended up at this event with Gary Bettman where, you know how they give out the street hockey rinks? They had one in particular that the NHL helped them build.
Yes.
Like a really cool street hockey rink. And they were like dedicating that to the city. And Gary Bettman was there. And I asked him, because it had been part of the conversation on the show that week, I think. And I asked him, because we were leading up to the All-Star game, and that was part of the discussion, was like, could we have an outside game? And I asked Gary Bettman at that event, could you see one of the stadium games in Tampa Bay? Would that be feasible? Because we think it is. People here think it is, right? And he said that there'd been some discussion about it and that they did believe it might be a viable option and that they had to look further into it. And here we are. I mean, I can't remember exactly what year the All-Star game was here. It's been at least 5 or 6 years since the All-Star game was in Tampa. And I had started to kind of wonder if it was ever going to happen. And it was announced yesterday that, in fact, we will get a stadium game coming up on New Year's Day, the Lightning and the Bruins. And then a day later, the Florida Panthers are getting one, too, down at Marlins Park.
It's cool. It's hard for me to imagine 65,000 fans packing into Raymond James Stadium, but I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to see about, I think that place is going to be full. How could you not? How could you not want to go see hockey outdoors?
So cool.
And you got to hope. Listen, they've done the studying and the research on this.
It's going to happen.
Of course it's going to happen. But if it happened this year, or if it happened this week, right? It's been a cold week.
Yeah.
This week would work.
This week would be perfect.
We know sometimes, we've lived here long enough, there are Januaries where we're getting weather in the 70s and sunny. So for the safety of these players, for the game to actually be played the right way and the ice to not be a complete mess, you have to hope and think that the NHL has done their research and will be able to make sure this thing in both parts of the state goes off without any issues.
When I said it's going to happen, that's really what I wanted to say and meant to say or should have said is it's going to work. I think it's going to work. I think they're going to have they've got the technology clearly to make this work or they wouldn't do it. Now, I mentioned the All-Star game. That was 2018. So we're talking about 8 years later. I mean, it wasn't exactly at the beginning of 2018, but almost 8 years later when it gets to January 1st, 2026, and we have this hockey game. So it took a long time for this to come to fruition.
And by the way, Rob Higgins, our good buddy Rob Higgins with the Tampa Bay Sports Commission, they posted a billboard at the time that read, when the All-Star game was here, "Thank you, NHL. Next time, let's go outside the box."
I like it.
And I
forgot about that.
Yeah, and I know Rob, and he's psyched. I saw him on social media on Twitter talking about this long journey and what we've had with Frozen Fours coming to town and just what a tremendous job they've done, not just with all the sports, but hockey specifically, to bring hockey to the area in different forums and different areas is just been tremendous.
I mean, think about it. We're psyched about it, and we had nothing to do with it. Imagine being a guy like Rob Higgins, where when these things come to fruition, when a Super Bowl lands in your backyard, or when you get the stadium game at Raymond James Stadium between the Lightning and the Bruins, imagine actually having like a major impact in that. Imagine you're the reason or a big part of the reason. Obviously, Rob Higgins, nobody can do this thing on their own, but he's a huge part of it. Imagine being that guy. Of course, he's psyched.
And I'm sure the league's going to be nervous when this happens. And by the way, it's
is it February 1st?
It's February 1st. It's not January 1st. It's February 1st.
You think January 1st or February 1st is better?
Yeah, not going to lie. Rob and Bradenton just called in and was like, I hope they know it's February 1st, not January 1st.
I don't know why I didn't even correct you on that. Yeah, it's February 1st.
I don't know why I got New Year's Day.
Why'd you think it was New Year's Day?
Because they do this on New Year's Day a lot. Like, it's a big part of what the NHL does. Their Stadium Series is on, or has been on New Year's Day a lot of years. I don't know if they had one this year or not, but there's been a lot of New Year's Day games, and the Stadium Series itself has been on New Year's Day a lot.
And sorry, I missed that too. When Pat said that, I was just kind of looking through the details here. February 1st is when it's going to be, February 1st, 2026. But yeah, it's just been a long road to get here. I can't imagine, and I know like the guys are pumped. Nick Paul heard some of the things he said, and he was talking about being at Bucs games and always thinking, hey, they'd be pretty sweet. We could play in a stadium like this. But now you have to think the elements, the climate, it's going to be a big challenge. And the people that are involved in, and they're going to be nervous when this game comes February 1st, 2026, with the elements, making sure that they feel comfortable that things are going to go off right. Because it is. I mean, it is going to be a challenge. There's humidity here, the weather. We know what this weather is like. It's hard for me to imagine to be able to control. I know we have technology, and they've got scientists that are weather scientists.
Right.
Weather scientists are on this thing.
Are you a scientist almost immediately if you're in the weather? Like, if you're a weather guy, I feel like you're a scientist.
They sound like
I feel like
scientists.
Dennis Phillips is a scientist. You know what I mean?
Meteorology.
See, exactly.
You're coming off like a genius on this show, Pat, today.
Listen.
Genius.
I always come across like a genius. What else is new?
So I think where you're getting it, the Florida Panther game will be January 2nd.
Theirs is January 2nd.
Theirs is January 2nd.
See, I thought they were back-to-back days. I am completely an idiot.
Now, Miami's Lone Depot Park, the league's going to build a structure, tented warehouse. Okay, sorry. It is a. I think it's a weather control, a temperature controlled environment.
We're both coming across like geniuses this morning.
Well, I'm looking at Miami's Lone Depot Park because I'm trying to think of the differences.
I mean, they've got a roof.
Yeah,
there's a big difference right there.
And that's
They've got a roof, and it's a lot easier to have that climate controlled than it is Raymond James. Well, you can't climate control Raymond James Stadium.
Yeah, so from what I'm seeing here, it does look like Miami's Lone Depot Park does have the temperature-controlled environment, and we know Raymond James Stadium does not. So right there's more challenges here in Tampa than there's going to be over there in the Miami area.
I would imagine, and maybe we should get Rob Higgins on soon and see if he can answer this for us, Aaron, because I would imagine that there's not a lot of stuff going on at Raymond James Stadium at that time. Like, you're talking about the end of the regular season come football, and it's going to be into the Super Bowl at time. So we're not hosting the Super Bowl. There's not going to be a lot going on at Raymond James Stadium. I would imagine they've got several dates locked in as potential move dates where they could move. Because if it is 75, I don't think there's a way you can try to pull it off. I mean, we've heard just at Amalie Arena, the work they have to do because it gets so humid outside, obviously not this time of year, but it gets so humid outside, the work they have to do to make sure the ice stays right inside Amalie Arena is extensive. So to get it done outside in a stadium, if there's any kind of warm weather, is going to be difficult.
And I believe Saturday, it's Saturday. So Sunday, February 1st is the game, outdoor game. Saturday, Gasparilla.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's almost Gasparilla time now.
That's going to be they're already setting up on Bayshore. That's going to be a crazy, crazy weekend in town to think of. I mean, and how many of those people are going to set it up and say, I'm going to go to Gasparilla, and then I'm going to go to the game on Sunday if they're not hungover?
I think a lot of people. Might skip Gasparilla to make sure they feel good for the game. Like, if you love hockey, that's a special game. Like, it's not just any Lightning game. If I'm, me personally, now I'm not a big go freeze and get hammered Gasparilla guy anyways necessarily, but if I were, I probably would take it easy on that day because I want to be good for the Lightning game.
You don't have to get hammered at Gasparilla. You know that, right?
I can't imagine going to Gasparilla.
Oh, you have to get hammered
and be sober.
You have to get hammered, Casey, but
you're a different breed.
What's in that Powerade bottle you just chugged? He's like, yeah.
How much of that Jim Beam that you gave him yesterday is in there?
That's what I was about to say. That was my recovery juice after the 4 little mini shooters that Aaron gave me yesterday.
Well, the funny thing is, you made the mini shooters were just like added. They were on.
Exactly.
They were with it.
Yeah.
Were they also Jim Beam?
They were.
Yeah.
They were the black label though.
Massive bottles of Jim Beam.
Yeah. Didn't open those yet. Still working on the 1792 that Pat gave me a couple weeks ago.
You don't go back and forth?
No.
Huh.
Unless, like, they're like little mini shooters, then I'll knock those out first, but then won't open a bottle if not needed.
We called those nips when we were kids.
Oh, yeah,
In
I've heard that.
Massachusetts, they called them nips.
I feel like with that toboggan on your head, Casey, they're nips to you, too.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I guess if we're going to a northern day.
1.75, that's what I was getting. Those big old bottles, man.
Yeah.
To the face.
Drowning me.
If you're having like a weekend, right, where you're really getting after it, you kill one of those on your own?
A handle? A 1.75?
That's the kind of confidence I have in you, kid.
No, man. Like, if I really, really, really try, like if I'm in a really bad mood or I just don't
really
care.
try?
Yeah, like if I just don't care about anything and I have nothing to do the next day, I could take down a fifth in a night, but that's pushing it.
I love
That's
he goes,
really
or if I'm in
pushing
a
it.
bad mood.
Yeah, like, oh.
Am I the only one who doesn't know the difference between a fifth and a handle? That's how.
So a fifth is just
Little I drink.
the, standard size bottle, and then a handle has the 1.75.
If you're angry and you drink while you're angry, do you get less angry?
I mean, it just depends if I'm like sad or like, I'm like really hyped up and I'm listening to, some like metal and it's like, yeah, pour another one down. Let's keep going.
That
Fine,
sounds like a
that
good
one,
idea.
that one I get. But the like sad,
Yeah.
I've never heard of anyone sad going into drinking sad and then coming out of it happy. Usually you're
I
more
don't know.
sad.
It just depends like where you're at. Like if you're at like a fun place, if
True.
you're at like a bar or like a club, then that makes you happy.
It brings you back.
Yeah.
Depends
I like
on if
it.
you got the mini shooters.
No,
That's right.
No
The
dry,
nips.
no dry January for Casey.
I think dry January is stupid.
What about sober October?
Anything that is a month that people have selected to get rid of a pleasure in their
Just
life,
do it.
it's
Like
just dumb.
If you want to do it, just do it whenever you decide to do it. Don't wait
Yeah.
for the month to do it.
How about just like, don't be an idiot every month? You know what I mean? Like
Talking to yourself?
sometimes. All right, when we return, how much has Baker Mayfield grown as a quarterback and as a man? One of his answers yesterday perfectly encapsulated
The South, 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Baker Mayfield, Todd Bowles both spoke to the media yesterday. I mentioned earlier in the show that it looks pretty good when it comes to the Buccaneers injury report. Of course, they'll be without guys, but looks like Antoine Winfield Jr. will be back. A lot of other guys, and again, they didn't practice yesterday. It was just a walkthrough, but a lot of guys look like they could be ready to go, and that is a really big deal. Baker Mayfield, he's been ready to go a lot this season, and I mentioned before the break, or I asked before the break, do you think he's grown as a quarterback and as a man since his rookie season? And look, every guy is going to. But I thought he really perfectly encapsulated, I think, the difference between who he is, the way he carries himself, what's important to him today, and where he is in his career and his life versus when he got into the league. And there's no doubt that he plays with a chip on his shoulder, but I think that's just competitiveness. I don't think he has the chip on his shoulder that he once had. It's funny because I was putting together this segment or writing stuff down for this segment, Aaron, yesterday, and then I saw this question on Facebook. This was actually asked by our good friend Rock Riley, and he asked Baker if he's still the kind of guy, or if he's always been the kind of guy that doesn't really pay attention to statistics and social media.
That's been a growing process. To say that I've always been like that is would be a lie. Used to, keep a lot of notes and try and prove people wrong, but that's not the way to go about life. You got to believe in yourself. You got to move on and play for each other. And that's, I keep talking to you guys about this is the greatest team sport. I love this group. And so how can I do my job the best to perform for them, to be prepared? And that's blocking out the outside noise. And the easiest way to do that is just to not have it.
Are you listening, Jason Light? He said that's no way to live life, Jason Light.
Stop with those receipts, Jason. Come on now. No, listen, that is a very mature Baker.
It is.
I absolutely believe him. For him to be so honest about it, I mean, we all know he used to do that. We know how Baker had that chip on his shoulder, and it doesn't mean that he doesn't anymore, right? He still has, Baker will always have a chip on his shoulder. It might be a different, more evolved, mature chip, but he's always going to have that fight, that extra, I'm going to go out there, whatever that drive is to get him to move the sticks like he does, to get him to run after fumbles that he's not even near the play, for him to go out and block 50 yards downfield on a running play. That's Baker, man. And he has matured from that I'm going to show you type of guy, but it doesn't mean that chip is gone.
No, I'll tell you what it is. It's moved. The chip has moved. It might still be on his shoulder. It might be on his other shoulder. But here's what I mean. The chip used to be, yes, I'm that good, or no, you're wrong about me. Whatever it is, like, it was about Baker. And he basically acknowledged that, right? Keeping receipts, writing stuff down, wanting to prove people wrong. I think that's still there, but I think it's more about the chip on his shoulder is, I'm going to run through you. I'm going to call you little boy like he did to homeboy at the beginning of last season, right? Remember that? I'm going to be that guy still and have that chip, but it's because of I'm doing it for the guy next to me.
Yeah.
It's because of I want to prove you wrong about the Buccaneers, right? I think he's just, and I don't think he was a bad teammate before, because I think if you talk to guys that were with him in the Browns, they probably loved him too.
And back to college.
Yes, exactly. But I think he has come that far as a teammate where now it is for him all about the guys around him. When he was talking about, I'm thinking about getting Mike to 1,000 more than Mike's thinking about getting to 1,000. He's that kind of teammate today.
He's one of all, since I've been in Tampa. Now, Jameis was an amazing teammate, and his teammates loved him. But Jameis is still figuring out what type of leader he wants to be. Because he's such a goofball that when it didn't translate and he was throwing interceptions and stuff, it just became a silly circus.
When he was?
All the time. And it just became, when it was spiraling, it was a circus act. And it was like nobody wanted to be a part of that. Baker's not a circus act. He's all business. He's really serious, but he has fun. But when he's on the football field, even though he's having fun, he's out there to win. And his teammates pick up on that. But on top of that, he's hanging out with Tristan Wirfs. He's hanging out with his O-line. It doesn't matter if you're a rookie or a guy who's been around for a long time. He's tight with you.
Yeah.
He is the ultimate teammate. And where he's at right now in his career and his personal life, just had a kid, I think he's the greatest teammate since I've been in Tampa Bay.
Do you remember when you said if he doesn't win the starting quarterback job, they might have to get rid of him?
It's unbelievable.
How much has your opinion of Baker Mayfield changed since then? I mean, it's insane to think about.
You're right. It is nuts. To be fair to that, I knew it, and I like to think that I get a good gauge of people just by being around them. And I knew it the second he was introduced. When you had to ask that question on me, and he ended up getting mad at you.
I don't think he got mad at me, but
annoyed with you on behalf of me.
I had a hole to dig out of.
I believed in him that day. You know it because I said it on the air. I believed every word he said, and it has been true throughout. He has lived up to everything he said in that introductory conference and more. And more. So for him to go out and a guy, we knew he was going to win that starting job. But to be labeled less than 2 years ago as a quarterback competition and to be where we're at now, back-to-back division champs and a playoff win at home under their belt, yeah, he has been incredible.
He was fighting for his life as a starting quarterback, and he's acknowledged that. He acknowledged that during this training camp. I remember specifically we played the audio when he was talking about I was that close to being a backup for the rest of my career. And I think he would have been. I think Baker Mayfield is a guy that, because of the maturity we're talking about right now, could have gone into the role of backup quarterback and mentor and eventually been pretty good at that, right? And maybe even been good at that right out of the gate. I think it would have been hard for him to deal with that and to realize that that's where his career was. But he acknowledged in this training camp, like, I was that close to never being a starting quarterback again. And what I love about that for Baker, I mean, nobody wants anybody to have to go through that realization of, hey, maybe I'm not going to ever be good enough to do this. But at the same time, what I love about that is Baker is never going to get to the point where he doesn't appreciate every single game, right? Like, his attitude about being a starting quarterback now is unmatched because he knew how close he was to losing that.
I also think, and listen, Baker has done this himself because of his ability and his want to be great and desire to be great. But I do believe what he dealt with in Cleveland was not only unfair, it was ridiculous. With that organization that's a dumpster fire, that fan base that gave up on him and was just nasty to him. I know, and I don't know how much
pretty commonplace, though.
It is. I don't know how much this impacts his performance, if at any at all, but headspace, I have to think it has a great impact on it. Yeah. The way the Tampa Bay community has embraced him and put him up on this pedestal where he is our guy. There is no doubt about it. Everyone is behind Baker Mayfield. Now, there's a couple Bucs fans that and no one's going to be 100% on board.
Yeah.
Just like with this show, just like with anything, there's always going to be naysayers. Yes, Pat, they exist.
What?
They exist.
There's people that don't like this show.
Hate it.
No way.
And for Baker to be able to be in a place and a great place where he's out in the community, it's a great place to live, and he is beloved. That is great for his headspace. I
think it's a piece of the puzzle. And we've talked about this. We talked about this earlier in the season. And I said coming into the season, I thought that there was a good chance, and this is before we knew anything about how good Liam Cohen was going to be. I thought there was a good chance that this offense could get better regardless of how good Liam Cohen was because of the continuity between Baker and his receivers, the offensive line, a lot of the things that we had talked about, right? So offensively, we kind of expected him to get even better. But I said coming into the season, I thought Baker Mayfield was in his absolute best place to be successful. And part of that puzzle was that he loves Tampa Bay and Tampa Bay loves him. But there's also parts of the puzzle like the fact that him and his wife are where they are in their relationship, and they've got a new baby, and Tristan Wirfs is like a best friend, and they've got kids that are the same age. And like, there's just so much going on in Baker's life that is all positive, with the exception of the lawsuit stuff with his family, unfortunately.
But man, for him to overcome that and for that to not even really be a conversation, I mean, that's got to be a lot. That's got to weigh a lot. For the Bay Area, the community to embrace him, that's got to feel good in what is got to be a very trying time when it comes to that personal ordeal.
Yeah, but that one. But again, so many other things are going in exactly the right way that I thought it really was the best opportunity for him to be at his best. And so far this season, with the exception of the turnovers, because he's definitely thrown too many interceptions, it's hard to argue with everything else. The kid has played some really good football. And what I think you can't really put a number on or figure out exactly what it does for the football team from a standpoint of How much does it help you win? How many more wins does it get you? The way he plays football, and we played the clip of Todd Bowles talking about it yesterday, the drive that he plays football with, the way that rubs off on his teammates, there's no doubt that adds to a winning culture.
3rd and 14 last week, extending the sticks. He is just he's been so impressive.
All right, when we return, we've got an impressive 7 o'clock hour, by the way, including your chance to win a pair of tickets to see the Lightning and the Bruins tonight at Amalie Arena. That's coming up at 7:15. But on the other side, after a year of being hampered by injury, are the Bucks.
Welcome back. 7 o'clock hour on the Pat and Aaron Show. This hour's coverage brought to you by Epic Health and Fitness. Real goals, real gym, real results. And Epic Health will be when we get Antoine Winfield Jr. back on the field.
That's right.
And some good news yesterday. when it comes to Antoine Winfield Jr. Full participant. It was a walkthrough, but typically, and we were talking about it earlier, when you're talking about Wednesday and this comes out on the injury report, he's a full participant, and if it was a regular practice, he would have been a go. That's a good sign for Antoine Winfield Jr. coming back. And, Pat, for a team that has been severely beat up when it comes to the passing game, and we've seen this defense get run over sometimes, not in the run game, but guys that are just running wild on them open in the middle of the field.
Poor tackling.
Bad tackling, and that's got to be fixed for sure all around. But getting Antoine Winfield Jr. back's a huge step in the right direction for this defense.
Only Tyke Smith and Logan Hall did not practice yesterday. And by the way, Tyke was a personal reason. It was not an injury. So Logan Hall, and again, when I say practice, like Aaron just said, they did have a walkthrough. It wasn't an actual practice. But Logan Hall is the only one designated with an injury to not practice. So that's a really good sign. Devin Culp was full with his rib injury. Also full participants were Josh Hayes, Troy Hill, who may come back off of IR. They've designated him to return. And we haven't seen Troy Hill really yet on the football field. Bucky Irving, full participant. Jalen McMillan as well with his finger. So Kate Otten, a limited participant. So a really good sign for a lot of these guys. Same thing with Sterling Shepard. I think there's a good chance that most of these guys, if not all of them, end up going on Sunday.
Durham, though, and Culp, who's emerged a little bit here, is without Otten, they've done a good job. They've done a really good job for this team.
He had 2 catches on Sunday, but he was only targeted twice.
Yeah.
So when they put the ball around you and you make the catch, that's all you can ask for. And what I love about Devin Culp is he's really fast. And you can see it out there when he's on the football field. He is, for a tight end, really fast. So when they go out and they run a 2 tight with him or even a 3 tight with Devin Culp on the field, he's going to end up covered by a linebacker probably. And they don't have the speed to hang with that guy. And you've seen the Bucs take advantage of his speed already a handful of times this season. Don't be surprised if Liam Cohen has something specifically up his sleeve for him on Sunday.
Washington is not that banged up. You look at their injury report, and a lot of guys just were resting, so they didn't participate because of rest. Other guys, limited participants.
Soft, huh?
Listen.
I'm kidding. They're veterans.
Yeah. Exactly. The guys who are resting are veterans. When you look at Zach Ertz and guys like that, they're, Dante Fowler, these guys are veterans. Terry McLaurin, you don't have to worry about them. But mostly the Bucs have been banged up all season long. So it's kind of odd when you look at this injury report and you feel good about it.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why I feel good about it, because it seems like just about everybody will be out there. Of course, very few people will be 100%. But to have everybody, or mostly everybody out there, is a really good sign for the Buccaneers on Sunday. You mentioned McLaurin, who, again, like you said, was just out yesterday due to rest. He's a guy that does concern me when it comes to this matchup, Aaron, because when you think back to early in the season, and this is one of the reasons why, if you're a Washington fan, you've got to love a guy like Terry McLaurin, because early in the season, there was a lot of plays where, as well as Jaden Daniels played, he would take off and run with the football or make things happen with his legs, where maybe he would have, if he'd been a little more comfortable in the offense, had an opportunity to throw the ball and make a play. And McLaurin, early in the season, was not getting a lot of footballs. For the receiver that he is, he wasn't as much a part of that offense as he should be. And being a great teammate, he didn't take it out on the kid. He's like, hey, he's learning the quarterback position, and we're going to get this thing together. And they have. The connection between those two guys, totally different than in week 1, where Terry McLaurin had 2 catches for 17 yards on 4 targets. I will promise you on Sunday night that every one of those numbers is higher. More targets, more catches, more yards. I'm definitely worried about the matchup against McLaurin.
And the biggest thing for him is a guy who had over 1,000 yards receiving after that slow start. The biggest thing is you want your main threats, your main target, your playmakers to get into the end zone. And Terry McLaurin gets into the end zone. 13
catches everything.
Everything out there. 13 touchdown catches this year. That's second in the league, only behind Jamar Chase. And we know this season Jamar Chase had. So just a really great, and to your point, a great job by Terry McLaurin. And as the season has gone on, being that weapon, that go-to guy for Jaden Daniels. Want to switch gears here for just a second, and we'll take your calls 888-546-4620. Before I get to this update, Chris Godwin, any update? That's from the text line. We mentioned it yesterday. He's not going to be good to go. Don't even think about Chris Godwin at this point.
It sounds like it would be an absolute miracle.
Yeah.
If Chris Godwin were to play in the playoffs, if you listen to Todd Bowles.
Speaking of, we love miracles and we love Dick Vitale on this show.
Yeah.
He has just had such a long battle back and forth with cancer and just so many things health-wise he's been dealing with issues. He is now 85 years old. Dick Vitale lives in Sarasota. Big Tampa Bay sports fan. Big,
really, really incredible. I just love Dick.
That is a soundbite that Pat just played randomly. But yes, we all love Dick Vitale here on the show. And a huge part of the community has just done so much for the Bay Area. He announced yesterday his vocal cords are cancer-free. He said his doctor now feels he can return to the love of being courtside for ESPN. And Pat, I know you texted him last night.
Yeah, I did. I just texted him and said, I saw the report. It was pretty cool because he posted it on Facebook, and it was him and his doctor. And he had his doctor kind of give the update after they had just done they shoved the thing down your throat and looked all around and made sure. And there was no evidence of throat cancer or cancer within the voice box, which is where he had it, which for Dick Vitale, of all people, just insane. And so I saw that, and he had his doctor kind of give the update, and they both got emotional on the video, and you just imagine being this doctor and you're telling all these thousands of people, which you're not really used to, about the great outcome for Dick Vitale at this point. And so I just texted him real quick and said, I saw your update, really, really happy for you, and I know I can't wait to see you call another game. I know it's going to happen. And he just texted me back to thank you type of thing. But it was really, really great news to see, because I've been look at his age, man.
And
I've been so
this.
worried about him.
85. In 2021, he was diagnosed with melanoma. A few months later, he got lymphoma. Then in 2023, he announced the vocal cord cancer. He has just been, last summer, he announced he'd been diagnosed with cancer for a fourth time in his lymph nodes. I mean, he has just been dealing with so much. So just incredible to hear that he's doing much better.
It just feels so unfair for a guy who put so much of his life into fighting against and childhood cancer. Like, everyone cares about cancer in adults, but Dick, right away, when everything happened with Jimmy V and he decided that he was going to really dedicate his life outside of what he's done as a broadcaster, Dick Vitale has dedicated his life to raising money for cancer research, and particularly for children's cancer research. For somebody who's put that much effort in and raised that many millions upon millions of dollars for cancer research, to then have to go through it himself, it seems so unbelievably unfair.
It is, and I know he's even mentioned how tough it's been, and doesn't, anybody that has to go through that or has been through that knows how rough chemo and everything that goes with it is. So just hope he doesn't have to do that anymore. It's been a crazy week. The wildfires in L.A. Oh
Seriously.
My gosh, that is terrifying.
We've seen wildfires in California rip through that state in horrific ways before, but nothing to this capacity. And I've heard about fires. I feel like it's almost every year at some point in California there are fires. I've never been inspired to text my friends who live in California and go, "Hey, are you okay?" Right? My friend Michael, the one who's working in the movie industry. Also, my friend Jason, who lives closer to San Diego, so I was pretty sure he was okay. But I still texted both of them, "Are you all right?" And fortunately, both of them are. But unfortunately, so many people are not. So many homes, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of homes, maybe even thousands now.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands. With the wind blowing the way it is, I mean, it is homes, lives, families destroyed. Cars were left on the highway. Think about how scared you have to be for a car to be, you leave your car and abandon it on the highway because you're like, I'm not getting through this. I got to walk. I got to get out.
How would you feel safer walking than in a car? That's I can't even imagine.
Just tells you how dire that situation was. Bulldozers going through because the fire department couldn't get through. So just devastating as far as the human concern of what's happening here. The sports aspect of this. I mean, they've got a game this weekend, the wild card game. Vikings and the Rams are hosting it at SoFi. The way things are going right now, I don't know how they're going to be able to play that game in Los Angeles. I think they have to move that. The contingency plan involves moving the game to Arizona if they need to.
And I think makes so much sense.
It makes so much sense. That would be the move. I know it sucks for Rams fans, but there's so much more going on there with human life that is just, you got to get that game out of there.
Nobody's going to complain about it if it gets moved because of, like you said, the actual real human impact. But if you're a Los Angeles fan who lives in Los Angeles and actually is in a good enough spot where you can care enough about going to that football game, the drive to Arizona is not a long one.
No.
Like, I've been in Arizona. I didn't realize this. Like, I'm so bad at geography, like most things. I didn't realize this growing up until I was in California. I was in Arizona for my wife's 40th, and we were near the border, and I saw the highway sign, like, Los Angeles a couple miles away, and I was like, whoa, like, it's right there.
Yeah, it's really, really close. So just thinking of everyone out there, aside from just the sports aspect, that is just devastating what's happening over there. On the This hour's coverage brought to you by Epic Health and Fitness. Real goals, real gym, real results. Who wants to go to...
Our dude Rocky, I think he's going there because he's getting real results. He's getting jacked. He loves those guys.
Love that. He looks great, too. Who wants to get jacked up at the Lightning game tonight, taking on the Bruins at Amalie Arena? 888-546-4620. Got a pretty easy question for you.
All right, let's try Rob in Riverview. He was in first. Rob, good morning.
Good morning.
What's up, Rob? All right. Tampa Bay Lightning, it was announced, will play the outdoor game at Raymond James Stadium February 1st, 2026. Who will they be playing in that outdoor game?
That's easy. The team they're playing tonight, Boston Bruins.
That's exactly right. I told you we'd make it easy for you. We want you there. You're there. You're getting a pair of tickets. You're going to be in the house at Amalie Arena tonight, 7 o'clock puck drop against the Bruins. Congrats.
Thank you.
Rob, just hold on so Casey can get your information, and our promotions department will make sure you get your tickets before the game tonight. Hold on.
Thank you for playing and enjoy the game tonight. So one thing that we've all seen in college football, and by the way, we're going to have the playoff game tonight, and I cannot wait for tonight for that to take place. Notre Dame taking on Penn State, 7:30 kickoff time. But James Franklin had some very, very interesting comments. And, of course, Penn State playing tonight, Penn State head coach James Franklin. He has an interesting take on conferences. And he says this is not a knock at Notre Dame, but a lot of people think this is a knock at Notre Dame. And a lot of people, Pat, I think
the way he says it, I did not take it as a direct knock against Notre Dame because he mentions things outside of just the fact that he thinks Notre Dame, like anyone else, should be in a conference.
And for Notre Dame, they're one of 3 FBS independents. They're along with UConn and Massachusetts and UMass.
Yeah, those guys just don't matter because they're never going to be in a playoff.
But Notre Dame does matter, and because of Notre Dame being independent, it allows them flexibility when it comes to the schedule, more so than teams that are a part of a conference. And that's why I think a lot of coaches and a lot of people would have issue with being independent like Notre Dame is. Here's James Franklin, Penn State head coach, on the issue.
It's about Penn State and it's about Notre Dame and our teams going out in the field and competing and representing our schools and our conferences, or our conference, excuse me, and college football and the Orange Bowl. I think there's been conversations about, obviously you talk about just the differences between our 2 programs and conferences. I think it should be consistent across college football. I think, again, this is no knock at Coach or Notre Dame, but I think everybody should be in a conference. I think everybody should play a conference championship game, or no one should play a conference championship game. I think everybody should play the same number of conference games. I was a head coach in the SEC. I've been a head coach in the Big Ten. I was in the SEC when the whole conversation was whether to go to 8 or 9 conference games. All the coaches voted against going to 9 games. The commissioner agreed and kept it at 8. I think it was one of the better decisions as SEC made. The Big Ten went to 9 games.
All right, that's enough for that. I think we got the
I was not a
gist
math
of it.
major at.
I think we got the point there. I agree with him. And he kind of laid it out. He's like, well, everyone should play a conference championship game, or nobody should play a conference championship game.
I agree with that.
And I honestly go along the lines of nobody should play a conference championship game. Why don't we just be done with this whole mess? Make it one big conference.
I agree. Thank you.
Let's just make it one big conference.
Maybe you even make it 4, right? But make it equal across the board. Make it look, maybe you have a Northeast, Northwest, Southeast, Southwest. Maybe you don't have guys traveling all over the freaking world because they are college students, and maybe you just make it a little more regional. And then it still would be a lot easier to pick the top 12 teams or 14 or whatever the hell you end up with and put them in the playoffs and not worry about what conference they're from.
I get that. But then again, like Big Ten, Oregon was not in the Big Ten. They're out west, and now they are in the Big Ten. And I think that was a really good addition to the Big Ten with the way they're playing. Now, of course, the program's at a good point right now. At some point in the future, they might not be at a good point.
But maybe you want it to be more equitable. Maybe you don't want, because right now it's basically the SEC, the Big Ten, and everybody else. Mm-hmm. And maybe not in that order, actually. It might be the Big Ten, the SEC, and everybody else.
The way it's looked, yeah.
But still, regardless, those 2 conferences run college football. And I don't know that it needs to be that way.
I understand the frustration when you look at a team like Notre Dame, an independent team, and you go, well, you can just make your own schedule all the way until you make it easy enough just to get to the playoff, and then you run it from there. Not to say Notre Dame has the easiest schedule, but it's easier than some of the things we see out of the Big Ten and out of the SEC for sure. So I lean more towards no conference championship game and just have one major conference and go duke it out during the regular season, have your bowl games, and have the playoff, the 12-team playoff that will eventually expand.
If losing a conference championship is going to screw a team out of being in the playoffs, and then Notre Dame doesn't even have to have a conference championship game, it does. It makes it completely different for everybody. And I do think I'm not a big James Franklin guy. Remember the thing earlier in the year where he's being asked about something, he just kept walking away from the podium? Like, the guy a lot of times strikes me as kind of a douchebag. But at the end of the day, I agree with a lot of what he had to say here. And in general, college football is the wild, wild west, and they need to figure out a lot.
You cannot say that was not a swipe at Notre Dame. Like, how can you go and say this is no knock at Coach Freeman or Notre Dame, and then name literally one of three teams that's not in a conference in the FBS?
But he also brought up the difference between the SEC and the Big Ten, and the fact that they're playing 8 conference games in the SEC and 9 conference games in the Big Ten, and that's not uniform either. He's just saying he thinks it all needs to be uniform.
And I agree, but the main point he was making was, I believe, the shot at Notre Dame.
Yeah,
that's what it felt like.
I don't know what's the point at that point. You're in the game. They're in the game. They're not going anywhere. Saying they don't deserve to be in the game or suggesting in any way they don't deserve to be in the game is really stupid, in my opinion. Because then if they come out there and beat the living you-know-what out of you, you look really, really stupid.
I have to imagine that the ratings are going to be pretty good for that game tonight. 7:30 game. Dude? Well, you got the light. If you're a regional guy or whatever for your team, you got the Lightning playing tonight. So if you got your hockey on, if you got basketball on for whatever team,
but you're talking about national ratings.
Yeah, yes. So, but that will kick into it a little bit if each local area is watching their own whatever's going on, whether it's hockey or basketball. But I have to assume that the ratings are going to be amazing for that game tonight.
I know,
just because they're not competing with anything.
I know. I think like most football fans. Whereas if there's a college football playoff game on, nothing that's happening in anybody's regular season is more important than that. And that's how the playoffs always supersede everything except for NFL football.
Which makes me, and then tomorrow, Friday night, which I think is the better game, Ohio State, Texas, that, once again, what are you competing with?
I hope it's the better game, Aaron. There's part of me that's just so afraid of Ohio State right now, dude. It sucks because I hate Ohio State so much.
I also like that's a 7:30 game too, and not like an 8:30 type of game. That extra hour's
on a Friday too.
Yeah, I don't know why it's a Friday, and I should stay up late, but I get really tired.
You won't go out. You'll just be at home on Friday night?
Yeah, most people do a long week after a long week. Like when people go out hard on Friday, you know what I think? You didn't work hard enough during the week. Is that crazy?
Yeah, absolutely. That's crazy.
How do they do it?
Beyond crazy.
How do they do it?
Because they need to just let loose, man.
Don't they get tired though?
Do you know how many jobs just absolutely suck or like tolerable at best? It's one thing when you get to come in here and do sports talk radio every day. There's a lot of people whose jobs are just like, they just suck.
Yeah,
maybe
that's one thing, and they're tired by Friday.
Who cares?
You know the night to party? It's Saturday.
You can get wasted and be, not for me. I guess Sundays are pretty busy.
What do you think about the people that go hard on a Thursday night?
Dang, Thursday, bro.
Oh, man.
Thursday. Can you be efficient at work on Sunday? On
Friday.
Well, that's because Thursday night and Saturday night are similar for me because Sunday's so long. But no, can you be good on Friday when you're at work?
I got to stop judging people because I know I've done this before. I can go out and I can put some back and then be fine for the next morning.
Dude,
I think it's jealousy.
Young?
I think when I see people going hard on a Friday, I'm like, I wish I was them, man. I wish I was that cool. Yeah, usually I end up doing Shabbat dinner in Sarasota with my family and drinking a couple martinis and passing out on the couch.
Welcome to adulthood.
I know.
This is what we do. And by the way, the older you get, the more you love it, right? Like right now, you're at that age where you're almost young, right? So you're like, oh, I miss being able to be young.
I got FOMO.
Haven't you ever seen, I'm sure you've seen this on Facebook, where somebody will inevitably post the meme, somebody my age or so will inevitably post the meme where it's like, Remember growing up and you were forced to take naps, you were forced to stay home, like all these things you hated to do as a kid, and now you get older and you're like, I want all of that. I want the naps, I want to stay home. Like you love it when you.
And I want to be forced to do it so I don't feel stressed during.
You start me up.
Do you sit them?
Sit down, you old son of a bitch.
Do you cut them?
Cut it out. Cut it.
Start, sit, cut is on the Pat and Aaron Show.
Start, sit, cut time, and this hour's coverage brought to you by Epic Health and Fitness. Real goals, real gym, real results. Casey Warner, what are the results for start, sit, cut?
It's pretty cold out today in Tampa Bay, and it's going to be even colder at the following choices you have to start, sit, cut for these home field advantages this weekend in the NFL
I don't know if it is.
playoffs.
I think it's colder here.
Yeah, it seems like it, man. I've got my toboggan on, got my sweater, feeling nice and warm and toasty in here. So start, sit, cut these. Lincoln Financial Field at Eagles, M&T Bank Stadium at Ravens, or Highmark Stadium at Bills.
Well, when we look at the weather in Baltimore, on this weekend, it's going to be Baltimore and Philly, to me, it's like kind of the same thing.
Is this just about the weather, though? Or is it home field advantage?
It's encompassing everything.
Okay.
Home field advantage, weather, crowd.
I'm going
Throw
to
you off.
Yeah, I'm going to start the Bills because that's just a raucous environment. And the closer they get to feel like the Eagles fans, Ravens fans, they know what it's like to win. Bills fans are just itching to get the feeling of consistent winning. And this is the year that the Bills, I think, have a really good chance to get through Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think that to start this thing off, they're going to be raucous there. I'm going to start the Bills. I'm going to sit the Eagles because those fans are nuts at the link. And I'm going to cut the Ravens.
All right, listen, I absolutely agree with everything. And nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. That's because of that fan base. That place is different. Those fans are different, and there's no doubt you have to start Buffalo. I will sit Philadelphia because, like you said, those fans are insane, and I will cut M&T Bank. I've heard they're very nice there, although the weather is gross.
Division game, Pittsburgh, Baltimore.
All going to be great advantages.
Saturday night, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, next up, NFL playoff quarterbacks on the road this weekend. Sam Darnold at L.A., Justin Herbert at Houston, or Jaden Daniels here in Tampa.
Yeah, I'm going to start Sam Darnold because I just think that at the end of the day, that's one of the better matchups, and he's just been so good. I'll sit Justin Herbert because eventually the kid's got to do something in the playoffs, and I'm going to cut Jaden Daniels because he's coming here to play our Tampa Bay Buccaneers, baby.
Yeah.
And they're going to kick his ass.
I'm going to go the same way, actually, for different reasons. Sam Darnold might not even be playing in L.A. They might be playing in Arizona. Yeah. We don't know.
That's a good point.
And that gives more an advantage because it takes away the home field advantage to an extent to the L.A. Rams. I'm going to go Justin Herbert at Houston because I don't think the Chargers have enough to get it done this year, but I think this is the year that people have looked, and with Harbaugh taking over, Justin Herbert, that Chargers team, they're on the ascension, they're on the way. It's not this year, and I also think Houston's taken that step backwards. A lot of injuries, but C.J. Stroud's also taken a little bit of a step backwards, sophomore slump to an extent, and then I'll cut Jaden Daniels because why not? Optimism.
A lot of confidence in that Buccaneers defense. I like it. All right, next up, I'm very interested to hear your all's answers here because there are a lot of things that are uncomfortable when it's cold. You ask Pat Donovan, he thinks everything's uncomfortable when it's cold.
It's true.
But these are known to be pretty uncomfortable when it's cold. Getting out of bed in a perfectly cool room, sitting in a frosted vehicle, or sitting on a cold toilet seat.
Now, are we ranking these most uncomfortable to least uncomfortable,
right.
or vice versa?
That's right.
Then starting getting out of bed in a cool room. There's nothing worse because I sleep in my underwear. So when I'm comfortable under my covers, I get in that comfort zone, and then I get up and I'm trying to just wake up and be a person again.
And we have floors.
Yeah, my floors are very cold.
Yep.
It's just I'm shaking.
Yours are cement, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's cold.
It's that industrial look. Sitting on a cold toilet seat, I'll sit because Pat, I hate that. I love a warm toilet seat.
Gives me the goosebumps.
In fact, I am a weird guy. I like when somebody uses a toilet seat before me just so it provides me with the warmth that I really like. So, and then I'll cut sitting in frosted vehicle just because we don't have to deal with that a lot, right?
No, we don't.
I warmed my car up this morning. I started my car and turned the heat up like 5 minutes before I left the house.
That's rare.
I'm going to, most uncomfortable, I'm going to start getting out of bed in a cold room because as soon as I get out of bed and it's cold, I just want to go back to bed. I don't want to get up and do anything at all. I will sitting in a frosted vehicle because that also sucks to the point where I said I heated up my car this morning in Florida. I actually did that. And then I will cut sitting on a cold toilet seat because of the exact opposite reason of Aaron. I will cut sitting on a cold toilet seat because at least I get that peace of mind that some other dude's sweaty ass was just not on that toilet seat before me. So for that reason alone, like yesterday, I got into the bathroom that I use downstairs that I don't like anyone else to use. And I opened up the stall, and it looked like the water in the bowl was moving. And I almost left because I was like, oh, no, somebody else had just been using this toilet. But I had to go bad enough that I just sat down. And when I sat down, the seat was cold. And when I sat down and the seat was cold, I was like, yes.
It's not
Nobody
sweaty.
else was just on here.
It's just warm. It's not sweaty.
I don't want to share butt sweat with you, man.
Yeah, I understand. I get both sides of it, but I'm going to go with the cold. Yeah, cold doesn't bother me. All right, so three win NFL teams best set up for the future.
No.
These are the only 3 teams that have 3 wins after the 2024 regular season. Browns, Giants, Titans.
I don't even want to answer
We're
this.
having a stare down. We're like, you tell me, dude. They're all terrible. They're all just terrible.
Yep.
Listen, I'll start the New York Giants for no other reason than they're in New York. And as soon as you get some kind of success in New York, you're attractive to free agents because guys want to play in New York. It's like the only thing they have going for them. I'll sit the Browns because I like Jameis Winston and I feel for Cleveland fans, so I want them to do well. I'll cut, but they all suck. None of them have any chance. They're all terrible.
Okay, so you typically would be like, okay, you go with the team that has the first pick. I don't even know if the Titans know what they're going to do with that. I don't even trust
No
any
idea.
of the. I don't
They're
even
going to ruin Shador is what they're going to do with that.
Yeah, Shador might end up with the Giants. I don't know. But what I will tell you is I'll go with who I think has the best star. And without a doubt for me, what Malik Neighbors was able to do this year, that
Special.
guy is special. Not just breaking rookie records, breaking records. So I love what Malik Neighbors can bring to an organization. I'm going to start the Giants on that alone. I'll sit the Titans based on the draft pick, and I'll cut the Browns because they're the Cleveland Browns.
All right, we got one more start, sit, cut here. And this one, I'm ready to hear what Pat Donovan has to say because we were talking earlier about Russell Wilson, Eli Manning, how they could be Hall of Fame hopefuls. And Pat said that Russell Wilson was more of a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback than Eli Manning. So start, sit, cut these finalists for the 2025 Pro Football Hall of Fame class: Fred Taylor, Steve Smith, Eli Manning.
I think all 3 of these guys are like borderline guys, by the way. I don't know that any of them were that dominant that they look like great Hall of Famers. I'm going to start Eli Manning just because I think that history matters to the NFL. The fact that he's a finalist gives him a shot, and what he did against the undefeated Patriots will live forever, and it's the reason why he's going to the Hall of Fame. I'll sit Fred Taylor because I think he was incredibly underrated. They're all great. I'll cut Steve Smith because I like Fred Taylor a little bit better, but they're all kind of in the same class in my opinion.
Steve Smith, I thought, was so good, and especially his size, too, what he was able to do.
Just 5'9", 180, that's it.
And what do we get, like 15,000 receiving yards?
Do you get more credit for being good when you're small?
I do.
At that position, I think, yeah.
Like, if you're going to give Eli Manning credit for a couple big moments, why can't you give a guy credit for being undersized and doing that
for
in the
being
league?
mini?
I'm going to go with start Steve Smith, sit Eli Manning, and cut Fred Taylor. But I think, yeah, I agree with you on all of them kind of being, and you know how I feel about Eli Manning.
Yeah.
Couple good
Hall of
moments.
Famer.
Couple good moments. We're going to have some good moments on the other side with Dr. Jeff Selman. It's time for our injury report presented by Florida Orthopedic Institute in partnership with Tampa General Hospital.
95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
This hour's coverage brought to you by Epic Health and Fitness. Real goals, real gym, real results. We've got a lot of injuries heading into the playoff weekend. And even though the Buccaneers have been dealing with the injuries all season long, actually their injury report not as bad as we've seen in some weeks this year. Let's go now to the hotline. It's time for the Pat and Aaron Injury Report presented by Florida Orthopedic Institute in partnership with Tampa General Hospital. Fan favorite, Dr. Jeff Selman joins the show again. Dr. Selman, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, new you, new year.
New me, new year, new Antoine Winfield Jr. We'll have to find out. He's been dealing with a sprained knee. He's been dealing with this for over a month now, early on in December. Without a setback, it seems like he's going to be good to go on Sunday. How concerned should we be? Do you think we'll be able to see the guy that we've seen in the past? What's he going to look like, Doctor?
Man, I think he's going to be good to go. Even from the very beginning, it sounded like, just the random. He has a sprain from head coach, would suggest that it's very mild. And then he was back at full practice yesterday. So, he's dealt with that ankle injury on the same side this year. He came back full strength. I have confidence in him that I don't think you're going to be able to see much difference in him in terms of his outcome.
We had talked about suffering multiple leg injuries on the same leg and how that could impact one or the other when it comes to recovery. Do you think that's why what had happened earlier in the season with his foot and ankle that led to him being out as long as he has been out with this knee injury?
I think that has a very good part of it, a huge part of it, because it is on the same side. That entire chain of muscles, tendons, nerves kind of all get affected as well. Kind of opening the door a little bit for that particular knee injury. But, he can continue playing, so I'm confident that he'll be able to come back pretty hardcore.
Where would he be most hindered by the sprained knee as far as his mobility and things he would do on a football field?
Usually it's the side to side, straight in the front, just running straight ahead. He will probably be good. Explosiveness will probably still be good. He might be a little timid those first few plays side to side when he's thinking about his knee and not thinking about the play in front of him. But, I think he'll be able to get over it rather quickly.
We haven't seen Jalen Hurts since December 22nd. He is still in concussion protocol. We saw this earlier in the year with our own Luke Gedeke, where it took him a while to return from concussion protocol. What do you think is, and we've asked this before, but what is the difference in what you see in a concussion when a player is able to get back in a week or less, right, where they're back for the next game, versus when a guy misses multiple weeks, as Jalen Hurts has and Luke Gedeke did earlier in the year?
Yeah, the main thing that you see are the symptoms, because with every concussion, it's one of the most difficult sports injuries because you can't see it. You can't touch it. You're just assuming, and you're really relying on that particular athlete to tell you exactly what he is feeling. And if they have, a few symptoms rather early on, then they're in the protocol and moving along the protocol quickly. But if those symptoms continue to persist and you're really trying to get them better, then the protocol will last a little bit longer. You also have to, consider that the end of the year, you want to save your great players. And if you're already in the playoffs, then heck, just keep them in the protocol until playoff time.
Do you wish you could touch it? Do you want to would you poke a guy's brain if you could?
I always touch it inappropriately. It's very nice. Tickling is good.
That's what I've heard. That's the rumor out there. When it comes to these concussions, what I don't get, Dr. Selman, is how come, and Pat brought up Luke Gedeke, and I think it's a good point. Some of these guys will come back for practice, but they still won't be cleared, and that's kind of what's happening with Jalen Hurts right now. Has not cleared concussion protocol, but he's back at practice. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Oh, because each step of the protocol, you advance what they're going to be able to do. So, being a part of the team, number one, I always want my concussion athletes part of the team. So get them on the sideline, on a stationary bike, walking around. And so that could be part of, being a part of practice. And then, the very next to last step before complete full recovery is some football-specific drills. So you're going to want to do that with your team, and you want to kind of participate in the practice that you're able to participate in.
I saw Tua Tagovailoa. He didn't play last week, but I saw him on the sidelines, and he was wearing those thick glasses. I'm assuming that's to protect his eyes from the light.
Yeah. And also there could have been, so we have these conditions with your eyes when you get hit in the head. They start to shake back and forth, and that can help cause you to get a little bit dizzy, a little bit blurry vision. So those glasses kind of help protect the eye and the ability to see.
He's got to quit. I mean, when that's happening, I mean, when you're walking around looking like you're wearing 90-year-old glasses on your eyes because your eyes are shaking violently, you got to call it quits.
Yeah, those are equivalent to the BCGs, the birth control glasses we had in the military. You just want to steer clear of those guys.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, and my apologies if you're not really sure. How was the concussion protocol developed? Has it changed since they first started to implement it? How has it changed? And what are they looking for within the protocol? Like you said, that, there's different stages along the way. What are they looking for throughout those stages? And again, if you know, how was it developed? How did they decide this is the best way to decide if a guy has a concussion and when he's over it?
It's developed through a huge international conference, which, of course, much smarter than myself, the Vienna conference back in 2016 that probably was prompted by the 2015 settlement with the NFL, where neuropsychologists, neurologists, sports medicine doctors all came together, collected all the research, and then spewed out these particular 5 steps that the NFL has instituted, and pretty much every level down from the NFL have instituted, and they have remained very same steps since about 2015, 2016 in the NFL. The things that have changed with the NFL are the rules changes, the helmets they're trying to improve for position specific. I can't talk this morning, and covers for the helmets, and of course counting the number of head hits from AI generated technology. Did you just
reference the Vienna conference from 2016?
I did.
That was really good. That was really good. I didn't have it on my list, but David Montgomery, how is he able to come back? We were told he was going to be done for the season. I don't know how much you've been tracking that. It wasn't on the list I sent you, but he's been dealing with the ankle injury. How's he able to get back so fast?
That actually, without being a part of the team, you don't know. You just assume that it was not
it was my bad, knee injury.
Yeah, not a very severe injury itself, but being able to progress through their return to play with a knee injury is supported by all the group around him with physical therapy and all that kind of stuff.
We're going to be without the Ravens it sounds like Zay Flowers with his knee issues going into the game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. When it comes to having a knee injury and that, when it comes to your stability within your knee, how much more important is that for a guy with like electric speed, or how much is it more dangerous for a guy that moves that fast when you have a knee injury?
Yes to all of that. And, the biggest kind of blockage for people and for athletes, especially to come back, is fear. It's psychological kind of roadblock. And he definitely had, for looking at his mechanism of injury, holy crap, he got hit twice. Once in the ankle, once in the knee, opening up that knee that can cause instability and having effect on that explosive power that he is known for.
Jordan Love's dealing with an elbow injury. Jalen Hurts with a concussion, like we were talking about earlier, and the finger issue. Who do you feel more confident is more healthy going into this game?
Jordan Love. I'm going to go ahead and put my put on that one.
All right. And Christian Watson, he's going to be out for the season. Real quick to wrap it up, torn ACL. I'm guessing that could impact his timeline for next season as well.
Oh, man, you're guessing so right.
Thank you.
Because that's what I do. 9 to 12 months is what we expect. So if he gets the surgery today, he will be back in October at the best case scenario, January at worst case scenario.
Wow. And before we let you go, I'm just going to ask you a million things. I'm going to drain you dry. Chris Godwin. That's I was gonna say that sounded weird. Chris Godwin, would you be shocked if Chris Godwin gets back, if that ankle's drained enough to get back out onto the field at some point if they make a long run?
No, I think even the playoffs, it would not be shocking at all to get him back in there. I think he will contribute very, even with some kind of residual pain from that particular injury. That was rough.
Well, I think Bucs fans, just on that alone, that's the perfect way to go out, Dr. Selman. The Pat and Aaron Injury Report presented by Tampa General Hospital in partnership with Florida Orthopedic Institute. They provide you access to one of the top orthopedic programs in the nation. Schedule that appointment today at floridaortho.com. Great stuff as always, Dr. Selman. We'll talk to you later.
See ya.
Thanks, Doc.
He's the best.
Bye.
He really is.
He's the best.
On the Bartow 4DA text line, a doctor that's a goon. Cool.
And he was referencing we didn't even ask him about, or I sent him a bunch of questions before, and like some things pop up. The Montgomery thing that just popped up. You asked him about concussions and going all the way back, and he referenced the Vienna Conference of 2016.
Guy's a genius.
He really is. He really is.
And a funny genius.
Speaking of geniuses, let's get another genius in here. Dignitary Thursday. You see this, Pat? See what I'm wearing?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm a
iHeart radio station.
Hour number 3 on the Pat and Aaron Show, 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. And hour number 3 on a Thursday is now Dignitary Thursday. Ian Beckles in studio with us. I got to fix this camera. Oh, there he is. Now he's on camera with us. Ian Beckles in studio with us, as he'll be every single Thursday. And Aaron Jacobson, total suck up.
Let me be a true dignitary.
Right when Ian was on his way into the building,
it was cold.
Aaron called him a genius. And now he's whipping out the Dignitary T-shirt. If I'm going to be 100% honest with you, Ian, my dryer kind of got the best of my Dignitary T-shirt. It has been destroyed by my dryer, but Aaron decided to suck up this morning.
What do you mean? This is a Dignitary Thursday. So what do? We all show our support. We're all dignitaries here, right, Ian?
Every day.
Thank you.
Every day. Would you wear pink?
Oh, yeah.
We have the pink head. Looks good.
Oh, yeah?
Get that one, yeah.
Yeah, I just did the breast cancer thing, back in October for those guys. So I finally have some pink gear I never did before. So Ian Beckles is back, and it sounds like on Sunday, Antoine Winfield Jr. is going to be back for the playoff game on Sunday Night Football, which is absolutely huge because this team, there's no doubt how much they've missed Antoine Winfield Jr. But listen, you didn't miss a ton of time with injury, Ian. You had a very, for the most part, right? You were pretty durable during your career. No, I thought you know. Come on.
Good research you did, Pat.
Well, no. Listen, I played for 9 years, so obviously I was somewhat durable, but I was injured all the time.
Isn't everyone injured all the time?
It's not true. Okay, I was more injured than everybody else.
Did you play through a lot of those injuries?
You had to.
Well, that's
Well, like Tony Mayberry. Okay, Tony played the same amount of time as I did, and he never had a high ankle sprain. He never had a knee injury. Like he didn't have all these things that I was having. So people are built different. People play different. And all football, Derek Brooks has never had a surgery still.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. So, all right, what I should have said is instead of you weren't injured a lot, you didn't miss a lot of time
there you go.
Due to injury. Yeah. And that is kind of what I was alluding to and the more important factor. But for somebody like Antoine Winfield Jr., for instance, who's been dinged up all season long, and now it's been multiple different injuries, how difficult is that when you've missed time, you're trying to show up for a playoff game that's as crucial as that game's going to be on Sunday night, and you haven't really been yourself all season long?
I probably can't answer for him because I haven't been in that situation because I've never played a playoff game. Okay, from what I hear, a playoff game, the speed is different. So if you're playing a preseason game, regular season speed is different. So it's going to shock you somewhat. To sit out that much time and to resurface in a playoff situation, I think would have to be tough. Because regardless, he wasn't healthy enough last week, right? So what made you so healthy this week? So when you say the word healthy as a football player, it doesn't pertain. You're never healthy. Either you could play or you can't play. So he's still a little bit hurt. Let's just hope that he's good enough to go out there and make some plays.
I wonder what, and I know you said you didn't play in a playoff game. I wonder what that difference is. We always talk about the difference in the speed between college and the NFL game. I wonder what the difference is between a regular season game where you still see, the athletic ability and the football knowledge on a football field is incredible. Mm-hmm. To amp that up in the playoffs, it must be for rookies. And I wonder your take on this, how Jaden Daniels will be able to handle that, a guy who had a tremendous rookie season, but now we're in the playoffs.
Well, listen, once again, having not played a playoff game, I might not be the right person to answer this.
You're always the right person to ask.
Thank you. The importance of the game has to speed the game up. It has to. That's just the way it is. Okay?
Yeah, naturally.
So, if you lose and you go home, or you win and you make hundreds of thousands of dollars, that's a lot more inspiration than week 5. Week 5, if it's not going well, I'm sure it feels different. Football, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't matter if you're in Pee Wee football or the NFL, it's all the same thing. But when you get up there in that situation with that much at stake, you got a bunch of goons out there,
Hey, we love goons.
Yeah, you do.
But listen, so you didn't play in a playoff game, but let's just, listen, you played enough years in the NFL, just looking at maybe key games, big games. How did you notice rookies you were around, whether it be teammates, opponents, that those kind of moments impacted rookies, even rookies that were maybe having a really good year?
Well, I'll give you a story for myself. Myself in my rookie year, I started my first game I played, and against Detroit, played really well. We won the game in Detroit. Everything went well. About the 8th game of the season. We were playing in Dallas, okay? And I grew up a Dallas Cowboy fan. So the moment got to me, okay? There's no doubt. Now I look back as an old man. I look back and my eyes were huge. Like I remember sitting on the Star before the game, like when everybody's warming up and stuff, and I was always the first person out there, and the cheerleaders are warming up, and I'm on the Star, and I'm...
Is that why you're the first out there?
Well, that's part of it. But I was always the first one out, and I was checking the field. I would come back and give the report. But I'm out there sitting on the Star, and the cheerleaders are warming up, and I'm listening to my music, and I had an out-of-body experience. I was like, I don't know what's happening. Because my whole life I thought about this, right? So now I'm like, this happening right now. Then I got in the game and had a bowel movement on myself.
Really? Literal?
It was too much. Yeah. It would have been better if I did, because it would have explained my play.
We hear about those. Yeah, we hear about that happening a lot.
Well, that was hockey.
Yeah, but in general, I've heard these stories before, guys.
But you've gone through it before, just maybe not in sports. Have you ever been in a situation, whether it be behind the mic or whatever, where you're thrusted into something and you're not ready for it?
Early on in my career, for sure. Not as much so now.
Once again, my rookie, right now, I can get out of bed, and if I open my eyes, if you throw a microphone in my face, I could probably talk for 4 hours straight about nothing. But when you're a rookie, your rookie year, you weren't this comfortable.
Yeah. One segment was like, how are we going to get through 15 minutes?
And now, years later, look at you.
And when it comes to out-of-body experience, the one time I felt that in my life was doing this job, and it was early on when I started here at iHeartRadio, when our video guys went with me, and I did that interview with Dick Vitale on video that I did, probably almost 12 years ago now, right? I asked him about Jimmy V and the speech and all that stuff, and he gave me this whole story that I'd never heard before about calling and leaving him a voicemail and talking to Jimmy V and like all the coaches that called him, and he started to get choked up as he was telling me this story about his last phone call with Jim Valvano. And as he was telling me that story, I remember feeling like I was outside watching myself do the interview, like, whoa, this is crazy that I got Dick Vitale to cry.
What drugs did you take before the interview?
A lot.
Yeah. You'd be like, I'm watching myself interview Dick Vitale.
Well, we're blessed to run into a lot of people being in this industry. You know, I got a chance to interview Jack Nicklaus.
That's cool.
Tim Meadows. This doesn't sound like a big name, but
Ladies' Man.
Ladies' Man's my favorite. You know,
Cavassier.
Did you see him when he was just here like last year?
No, I didn't. But I love Tim Meadows, and we got a chance to interview him, and that was amazing.
He was so funny.
And he was. Well, it's funny is Aaron was over there with Ted and Jack, and he did an interview with Ted and Jack, and they weren't young at the time, and I don't think they knew anything about the movie, so they couldn't get anything out of him. So he was very dry.
What's your favorite comedian? Who's your favorite comedian?
So I got a chance to dig in. I started off by saying, Mr. Meadows, I'm a big fan. He kind of looked at me. I go, I have a room called the Sanctuary. And he looked at Ron. Ron goes, he does. So, like, how many people have a room that's named after the boat in the Ladies' Man? And the one that tripped me out the most was, I remember somebody said, hey, do you know who Scotty Bowman is? And I go, is that a trick question?
You're like, I'm from Canada.
No, I'm not from Canada. I'm from Montreal. That's different.
Good point, yeah.
That's different. If you're from Montreal and you don't know who Scotty Bowman is, then you're not a sports fan at all. So, obviously, the coach of the Canadians back in the day, the most successful coach of all time, well, would you like to interview him? That one tripped me out a little bit, too, when I was talking to Scotty Bowman, because that one made me get back to my childhood and, watching, all those guys back in the day, because that's childhood.
Does it freak you out that Montreal could be part of America soon?
No. It's just, I don't do politics. It's so irrelevant. All of it's stupid.
The Rays will be going to America.
You guys are still talking Rays Stadium stuff, huh?
Yeah, all the time.
Hilarious. It's hilarious.
Pretty soon, Ian's going to go fishing on the Gulf of America, too.
Yeah. Why not, though? Why not?
Times they are changing.
This hour of the Pat Aaron Show is brought to you by Green Tech Roofing and Solar. This is Smart Roofing. Also, we were just talking to Ian about he played a lot of his career injured, but he didn't miss a lot of games. But you might be living a lot of your life injured. And if you are, you want to deal with that injury. And the good news is you can do that easily living here in Tampa Bay because you have access to world-class orthopedic care with Florida Orthopedic Institute in partnership with Tampa General Hospital.
Yeah, maybe you're waking up, you're feeling that nagging injury. It's been going on for a little while now, and you're thinking it's going to go away. I just have to sleep it off. I just have to get a little recovery time. Well, it's maybe not going away. Make that call today and access that world-class orthopedic care right here in Tampa Bay. Call 1-800-FL-ORTHO or go to floridaortho.com.
All right, we've got a lot to get to with Ian Beckles, including, speaking of him being a big hockey fan, we don't get Ian Beckles out to Raymond James Stadium a lot, but on the other side, we think we've got a reason.
Yes, sir. Go Bucks. 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
It's Dignitary Thursday. Ian Beckles in studio. Ian, when you were hosting here, did you ever forget to turn your mic on and then start talking into it? Because I do it way too often, if we're being honest.
And you forget to turn it off, too.
Well, yeah, but I also forget to turn it on.
Forgetting to turn it off can be worse.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
And I feel bad. We've got this guest mic for Ian, and it's just like, it needs some WD-40 or something.
Broken. So, Ian, I know you don't go to Ray J a lot.
Ever.
All right, ever. Are you going to go on February 2nd, 2026, when the Tampa Bay Lightning host the Boston Bruins in a Stadium Series game?
February 1st.
Did I say second?
Second. You cannot get the date right, buddy.
Listen, it's one of the first months of the year and one of the first days of that month.
Oh, my God.
I don't know what the hell's wrong with me.
January 2nd, February 1st. Those are the 2 dates.
Yeah, January 2nd is the Panthers game. February 1st
Nobody
the
cares
Lightning
about the
game.
Panthers game.
All right.
Especially Ian Beckles.
Is that locked in now? It's the outdoor game?
It is, yes. February 1st, 2026.
I could just hear the complaints of the ice right now. The ice can't be good. No way. There's no way.
It's
impossible.
Technology, dog.
I don't care how much technology there is. If it's warm outside, that ice, hockey players are crazy.
It's going to be beautiful.
They have weather scientists.
Weather scientists, dog?
I don't think it's going to work.
I'm with you. It's going to be, okay, so even this week, which is pretty cold.
What, you guys aren't going to go?
No, I'm going to go, but he's not talking about us. You're talking about the players.
Period.
And, they're going to be on sloppy ice, slushy. You ever go to, I know we didn't probably have the weather scientists that they have for the NHL, but you ever go to Curtis Hickson Park when they bring out the ice during the year?
Mm-hmm.
I've been there. I don't go on that. You're swimming with skates on.
Correct.
It's not good.
It's not that easy.
They are going to do a great job. It's going to be are you going to go? That's the question.
Nah.
You're not going to go?
No, I'm not a big goer. I don't go to anything.
I love it.
Dude, I've turned it around.
I'm a shower, not a goer.
I've turned it around Diaz. Like back in the day when I did this. No, I'm being serious. Like Ron was always 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
So I was 10 years more vibrant.
You were out and about.
Yeah, I was out and about.
We would go on party buses to concerts back in the day.
No.
We're not doing that anymore.
Every once in a while.
I know. I was going to say, you will do that once in a while.
I'm going to do it on Saturday.
Where are you going?
Sticks and Loverboy.
Really?
Whoa.
I'm going to be the only black guy there.
That's awesome. What a show.
You know?
It's going to be like the Beatles show again.
Actually, when I went to Chicago with a couple people, and I looked around and I go, find another black guy. And there was one
you did
half
that
credit.
with me at the Beatles show.
Yeah,
and then you want to know why I was angry about it? I spent the next 5 minutes looking around like, where are they? And it made me focus on something I shouldn't have been focusing on.
I want to know if this works in reverse, Ian. When I go into a restaurant or I go somewhere where I'm the only white person.
Not in Tampa. That doesn't happen.
Oh, please.
In town and country,
my favorite spot where I get shawarma all the time.
Dangerous conversation.
Fire Up Halal. I am the only white person every single time I go in there.
Did not have this on my
Mangoes. Most of the time we go into my spot, Mangoes, where you've been with me.
Okay.
I'm usually the only white person in there. I feel when I go to a restaurant where I'm the only white person there, I feel like I'm doing something right. Like I'm like, all right, I know, like I'm in the right place right now.
Why do you feel that?
Because I get to learn about new cultures and their food, and I feel like I don't want to be around people who are just like me, right? Like I like diversity. I like to learn about different food, different cultures, and there's no doubt in those situations that I'm not it's better than going into a place where I'm like everybody else.
Okay.
I like the way he backpedaled it.
He did.
Backpedal what?
Good, you know.
Weird.
You almost said white people can't cook. Almost.
I mean, listen, I'm half Irish.
You wouldn't be wrong.
I'm half Irish. Irish people cannot cook.
What is Irish food anyways? Boiled potatoes?
Boiled everything.
Yeah.
Find it, boil it, make it suck.
Put alcohol next to it.
Irish food is not good. Drink some whiskey so you don't notice how bad the food sucks.
Yeah.
No, I'm as a half Irish guy, I feel like I can say it. No, not well. But Italian people, some people think they're white.
No.
So does that mean
white people don't say Italian people are white?
So I'm half Italian. Does that mean I'm half white?
I'm not the judge, man.
See, this is bad, and this is once again and it goes back to what we were talking about the other day with Joy Taylor. There are just things I think I'm generationally uncomfortable by.
You're afraid of this whole conversation?
Your portion of it, yes.
Why?
I don't know.
Because I said that I like to be around different cultures.
I don't want to be around the same people as me.
He
I
was
don't know.
clearly offended.
Like, no, I wasn't offended. It's just like my brain is so warped in this stupid PC culture where I'm like, we're talking about skin color.
Dude,
So hold on.
Some people are Some people are they believe that their way is the way, right? Like there are people that like, I'm only going to eat my kind of food. I'm only going to be around people who look like me. Like I don't. Like, to me, that's the opposite of racism. What I'm saying, like, yeah, I like to be around people who are different than me. I like to try food from different cultures. I like to learn about different cultures. Like, what about that should make you uncomfortable?
I agree with Pat what he just said.
I'm the worst.
Like,
my mom does too. My mom called me a wuss the other day because my Joy Taylor take.
I am.
And here's the thing, and maybe because I'm like, it's the fact that I'm looking for a Jewish girl. Like maybe I'm in my own head too. Maybe that's racist.
It sounds like it.
It's not racist, but I sure would say that your pool is tiny in Tampa.
Yeah.
It's tiny.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're looking for Jewish girls, 5'5", between 30 and 34.
They don't exist.
There's 4 of them.
Maybe.
And three of them are married.
And I've dated them already.
Yeah, you have.
I've already dated them.
Got them ready.
All right. Hey, so we were just talking about Joy Taylor the other day.
I need to hear his thoughts on this.
What are your... Because my mom called in and made fun of me, called me a wuss, basically, because I thought what Jason Whitlock said and everything around it's like...
Did you hear what Jason Whitlock said?
I've never agreed with anything Jason Whitlock has said, I don't think.
Well, this might be a different time.
He's just a gross guy.
No, I don't like Jason Whitlock, and he's a crybaby, and I feel like he whines a lot about everything.
He's not likable.
No, he's not. No, not at all. The only thing I liked about him that he had Sapp on his show. Sapp's the only real thing around him, okay? And I'm shocked that Sapp gets along with Jason Whitlock, to be honest with you.
Really?
Nothing he's ever said draws to me. Like, I'm never going, man.
But did you hear his comments on Joy Taylor?
I heard him, but...
Do we still have
those? Can we
those?
get those, Casey? Can we grab those?
By the way, while you mentioned Warren Sapp, what a great job he did with Colorado this year.
He did. Started off shaky, and
he pulled it together, man.
Definitely made a difference. I saw the difference almost, up to
that
the third
defense
game.
was getting after people.
Yeah, man.
By the way, while Casey finds that audio, it's a good time to remind you that this segment is brought to you by Green Tech Roofing and Solar. This is smart roofing.
All right, we'll get to that in just a second here. I'm already getting text from my mom who's calling me soft.
Yeah. Yeah, so Aaron was basically disgusted by Jason Whitlock's words and basically the whole conversation around Joy Taylor and was going, soft PC young guy. And his mom just called in and was like, you're an idiot.
She also texted me now and said, I like diversity too, if that's what they're calling it.
Who said that?
My mom.
Emma. Yeah, she's talking about you, Ian Beckles.
I think he knows.
Yeah.
Thanks for spelling it out, buddy. All right, here's
sometimes the listener don't know it.
Here's Whitlock on the whole Fox Sports Joy Taylor issue.
I know what I'm capable of. And that big rack of hers that she showed off constantly, it's just, and that peanut butter skin with that big rack. Like, Jay, keep your distance.
Okay. First of all, he had to make it about him to begin with.
Of course.
And that's just hate. It's just hate. He's hating her for her fantastic rack and beautiful skin.
I don't think he's hating her for
he's
it.
clearly hating her for having a beautiful rack. Clearly.
You got to remember, and I agree with Ian, she got a show that claims he had success doing that show, and then she takes it over. He's definitely got some ill will towards her. You can hear it.
Period. And listen, let me say this, okay? I've been a Joy Taylor fan before she was big. You could ask Jay Retcher. That was my girl way back in the day. First time I saw her, I go, my goodness. I think she's gorgeous, okay?
You and Casey Warner. He's obsessed.
I mean, she's gorgeous. I mean, what else you want me to say? And I watched her come up. When I listened to her speak, what Jason Whitlock said, I disagree wholeheartedly. That she doesn't say anything. I think she's pretty wise because she grew up with a professional athlete and she has an angle that other people don't have. Ask me if she got popular because of her looks and her rack.
Did she?
Yep.
Oh, you sound like my mom.
Yep. That's real.
That's real.
If she was plain and pale and looked hungry, she wouldn't be on that show.
If she looked like Jason Taylor, she wouldn't be on that show.
I think Mina Kimes looks hungry, and she's doing just fine.
Oh, she's nice, too.
Mina Kimes not terrible.
Who?
It's not terrible.
See, now you guys have me talking about women's looks.
She needs to eat. Me and
let's put them on camera.
I'm allowed
to. Really
I'm allowed. I am very.
Who did you say looks good?
I didn't know. I said the opposite.
Oh, who?
Mina Kimes.
Oh, but I'll tell
Don't
you
post
what.
that.
You and I, put it on the live stream. I put it on the Instagram. Me and you, we did note, to be honest with you, that we felt she was much more attractive in person when we saw her on Radio Row.
Damn it, I did note that. But you know what?
Is she Jewish?
No, I don't think so.
What's her nationality?
She looks kind of Asian.
No.
You don't think Mina Kimes is semi-Asian? I think she's got some Asian in her.
I don't like any of this conversation.
Dude, there's nothing wrong with people having a nationality.
I'm a wuss. I am such a puss.
Clearly.
I need to stop. And my mom says, thank you, Ian. I know you guys get it. You see eye to eye. My whole thing with it is Jason Whitlock's just disgusting. He's a slug.
I hate him.
For him to be like, I knew, Jay, you got to walk away. It's like, Jay, walk away from nothing. You're not getting that. Either way.
Not a fan.
It's not, again, I don't think when he says you need to walk away that he thought he was getting it. I think he's saying, I don't want to do something stupid and inappropriate.
If you look the way you look and you're Jason Whitlock, why would you even step into that arena and do something inappropriate?
Because that's what dudes do.
When you
we
look
had the
like
same
that,
conversation yesterday.
When you don't have a chance?
Dude, have you look around you?
I know.
Look around you.
Man, you're disgusting. You're gross.
All I heard was Jason Whitlock say, it's no fair that you got there because you're pretty and I'm ugly.
Agreed.
Because I got there and I'm ugly, so I must be talented. You can't be as talented as me because you look so good. That's what I heard.
To me, it sounded like he was saying, I can't control myself.
On the text line, totally Asian. All right, fine. All right.
Yeah, Korean.
Hey.
Is she really?
Yeah.
She didn't look at me.
Have you seen Mina Kimes?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Wait, you didn't want to agree? See?
Damn it.
Wow. That was
Wow. Hey,
Damn it.
Aaron, you can be new because it's a new year. The new year is here. The new year, it always comes with hope, optimism, and a time to start fresh and look ahead and be more honest with yourself and people around you, Aaron Jacobson. At International Diamond Center, they're excited to celebrate the new you and the new year and your special moments in the new year, to the point where they've expanded their selection for this new year. IDC's diamond inventory has never been better. All sizes, all shapes, real, natural, precious diamonds at the best imported prices. And it doesn't stop there. IDC is showcasing all the new styles and trends in engagement rings and fashion jewelry inspired and created by the world's premier designers. No one has more fashion-forward jewelry than IDC.
I'm sweating through my Dignitary shirt.
95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Pat Aaron Show, 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. It's Dignitary Thursday. Ian Beckles is in studio with us.
I feel bad. Ian's been like, we're having trouble with his on button.
It sucks.
And I feel guilty because, like, I don't want our guest Ian to come in and just poking the button. I wanted to do it for him.
You should put a ticket in on that one.
You feel guilty
You're a
about too
ticket
much
guy.
stuff.
He did. Oh my God, it's obnoxious.
Tell it to me again. I want to get over that.
You're not gonna, though.
Why not?
You're not trying to. You have to try to get over things. Things don't just go poof and go away.
I'm going to start trying.
Let's make him feel guilty about another one of his takes. Maybe. We'll see. When you see the Bucs come out flat, when a football team or a player comes out flat and doesn't have enough energy at the beginning of a football game, and we've noted that, Todd Bowles said they're not making a ton of adjustments at halftime. Guys are coming out and playing more aggressive in the second half. If you as a football player, you played the game, you played in the NFL, if you came out flat for a game, if you didn't have it to start the game, and maybe you had more energy or you were playing more aggressively to start the second half, is that on Todd Bowles or is that on the players?
That's a very general statement, okay? Because I don't think you can say that about everybody. Like I said, you can't tell me that Tristan Wirfs plays better in the second half than he plays in the first half.
Right.
The results are different.
His defense particularly has been better in the second half, recently,
no doubt.
especially.
These is a few things that I know about the Buccaneers. They're young, okay?
Yep.
Young players need to figure things out sometimes, okay? In my first and second and third year, it took me a while to get acclimated to the game. In my seventh year, I was locked in right off the rip, So I think this is just a product of having a young football team. I heard your guys' discussion the other day. It was somewhere in the middle, okay? It's never all one side.
Right.
It's the players and it's the coaches. It's both. There's something about getting your players inspired to play right off rip, and a lot of that's the players as well. Like Bill Parcells at the end of his career, you looked in his locker room and he had a bunch of 10-year veterans that can play. He doesn't have to inspire those guys to go. But, Bucky and these young kids like that, they need some inspiring. They've not seen it. So I think that's just a product of having a young football team. And to me, the only important thing is the result at the end. Like, I don't care how you start. I don't care how you come out at halftime. At the end, you win the majority of your games, and the Bucs have.
I'm happy you said that because I did get a little self-conscious after the show yesterday, go figure, that
because of Doug?
Well, more so just like the general conversation in the text line and kind of feeling, and listen, I'm not one who's going to dig my heels in and be like, I'm right. I was never in a locker room in the NFL. I'm going by my high school baseball experience and how I felt and what got me motivated. And like Ian said, everyone is different, regardless of your skill level or how you get motivated. Everyone is different. And that's in radio too, right? I have, there are some guys here who don't need the pat on the back. They don't need the, hey, you're doing this right. You're doing this way. You could do better. Some guys do, right? So everyone is different in how they get motivated. But I'm glad you said that because I started to get a little self-conscious yesterday of these are grown men. They get paid money. These are great. These are big games and big moments. They should be motivated themselves. But then again, I do believe, because based on my own experience, I love when a coach was coming and getting fiery. That was me, though.
Mm-hmm. Everybody gets motivated in a different way. And this is another discussion you guys have, and a lot of sports radio have this discussion. And when use Tony Dungy as an example. When Tony Dungy lost, everybody says he has to be more fiery.
Yep.
And that's the same thing with Todd Bowles. Every time he loses, we need a fiery guy. Every athlete out there gets inspired by different stuff. Fire didn't get me inspired at all. I'm the kind of guy, this would inspire me more. Come on, Beck, you're better than that.
Yeah.
That inspires me more than you son of a... That never inspired me.
I'm the same way. I'd much rather think I'm pissing you off than
100%.
Disappointing you.
Yeah, well, Tony Dungy was able to inspire me because... Me and Tony Dungy never had a discussion until I retired. And then we had a couple discussions after that. I'm an offensive lineman. What are we going to talk about? We didn't have much to talk about. But if I played poorly, I thought I let that man down.
Yeah.
So that was almost like a fatherly thing. I've had other coaches where I played poorly and didn't affect me and them at all. You see what I'm saying? I lost, but I'm not caring about you. I felt I let Tony Dungy down. So people that thought that he wasn't an emotional guy, you couldn't be further from the truth. It couldn't be, because there's other fiery people that nobody cares about. and everybody cared about that man in the front of the room.
And by the way, when the fiery guy is losing, he's just a blowhard.
There you go.
Right? When the fiery guys, and that's why I think that there's multiple ways to lead. And I totally agree with you there. My point during the conversation about, like, if you come out flat at the beginning of the game and you come out on fire after halftime, it's hard for me to put that on your coach. How are you, especially in a big game? Like Sunday night, this past Sunday, I should say, was a big game. They needed to win that game. And to come out as flat as they did, for me, it was really hard to put that on Todd Bowles.
Well, I think, once again, I think it's a combination, because I think if a Buccaneers are a team that normally plays better in the second half, I think if you're a fan, you can say that's coaching. I think you can say that's coaching, because if they play poorly in the second half, you would say they need better coaching.
Yeah.
So there's a level of everything.
Well, I was trying to give, the funny thing is, I was trying to give Todd Bowles credit for making halftime adjustments. And then I see the clip the other day. Somebody asked him about the guys playing better in the second half and the adjustments he's making. And he's like, yeah, we're not really making that many adjustments. It's just that guys are coming out more aggressive in the second half. And I'm like, well, that blows up my argument.
Well, the thing is, everybody's acting like Todd Bowles knows the reasons why they come out slowly. You don't think they think about that?
Yeah,
I promise you. You look, what's wrong with our team? We don't score a lot in the beginning. So they're trying to figure it out. There's no really answers for that.
And that used to be an issue with them on offense. Last year, they could not score to start a game ever. And this year, they turned that around.
That's it. I mean, football's a cyclical thing. It changes all the time. Yeah. And I think there's sometimes coincidence in football. I really do believe that. It's not that many games. So you say, well, this team has never scored in the first drive. Oh, my God, that's not a coincidence. Do we know if they've always scored in the fifth drive? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's coincidence in football because there's so many darn numbers. It's very statistic driven.
Aaron, is there coincidence in horse racing?
Sometimes, yes, but if you really study, you take a look at the program, you can actually win a lot of money when it comes to betting on the ponies, and make sure you do it. Bet on the great horses, the best horses, world-class thoroughbred horse racing, 4 days a week now at Tampa Bay Downs. You can see the schedule at tampabaydowns.com, but I'm going to tell you what's going to go on this weekend. Big Saturday coming up, and once again, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday now open 4 days a week at Tampa Bay Downs. But on Saturday, the $100,000 guaranteed Wayward Lass Stakes, that's going to be going on. Then later in the day, you got the $150,000 guaranteed Pasco Stakes. You've got the $150,000 guaranteed Gasparilla Stakes. A huge day Saturday. So make some plans. Go out with the family, the friends. Save your stomachs. Go get some food. Go get some drinks, because you're going to have an awesome time only at Tampa Bay Downs. Easy to find, Racetrack Road in Oldsmar. TampaBayDowns.com. Live it up at the Downs.
Greg Allman, always finding the numbers that I would never work hard enough to find. Mike Evans, he puts on a tweet, X post, whatever you want to call it, had 335 yards heading into Week 11. How did he get to 1,000? No player in the NFL had more receiving yards in the final 7 weeks than Mike Evans, 669. Jerry Jeudy did match him, though, with 669 as well. All right, we'll wrap this show.
Buccaneers on Winning the South. 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
The Blender.
The Blender on the Pat Aaron Show is brought to you by Mazda of Clearwater. If you're thinking about a new or pre-owned vehicle, the choice is clear. It is Mazda of Clearwater, and with interest rates on the way down, many of their models right now, 0% APR financing. Also, the 8 o'clock hour today brought to you by Green Tech Roofing and Solar. This is smart roofing. Ian Beckles in here. It is a Beckles and Dignitary Thursday. And speaking of the Dignitary, first of all, we've been talking about Dignitary for years now, but it's a new and improved Dignitary over on West Shore Boulevard, isn't it, Ian Beckles?
Well, we didn't have much of a choice.
Yeah, that's true.
When, Milton and Helene rolled through, kind of demolished our signs, and we had about 2.5 feet of water coming through the whole cafe. So I don't care where you live, 2.5 feet of water coming through your stuff changes things.
Yeah.
So it kind of changed the aesthetics of the whole building. And I think it changed it for the better.
Agreed.
People walk in now, I think it's more kind of a feng shui feel.
It's more open.
Yeah.
It really is a great feel.
Absolutely. And listen, we're a cafe. We serve Kawa coffee, as you guys are drinking. We have Kava and Kratom. Look it up if you don't know much about it. But, it's a sober living atmosphere. We're 420 friendly outside. We have a smoke shop, and we're right in the corner of West Shore and Gandy, 4817 South Gandy Boulevard.
And you know what I love? When you go there, you can either hang out by yourself, whatever, or like you can mingle. And I've had some of the most interesting conversations with people that I had never met before. Nothing to do with sports or anything, just life conversations over there. I think it's really cool.
Well, it's kind of like a bar. Okay, when you walk in, it kind of looks like a bar. But when you walk into a bar, people go to bars because they want to socialize. Here's the problem, though. Everybody's drunk.
Hammered, yeah.
So there's not good quality socializing when everybody's drunk. So nobody's drunk in our place.
It's not sloppy.
So we have good conversation. We could actually have conversations about politics and it not get heated. Imagine that.
Yeah. How's the Ponds doing?
Ponds is doing all right. Ponds had a little scare with his ticker, but he's back swinging and he's ready to go. Well wishes to the great Tom Ponzo.
Absolutely.
And looking forward, I know you and Jay Retcher got something cooking up too. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, we're going to go old school. Not that old school, but Jay and I are going to do some things together. He says he's on the way to the building right now, but Beckles and Retcher is going to come back and we're going to do a little podcast and, keep it loose like we used to do it. Yeah, man.
Stay tuned.
What have we missed during today's program, Mr. Warner?
Tonight is the beginning of a great weekend of football. We got a matchup in the college football playoff tonight, of course. Notre Dame and Penn State in the Orange Bowl. And then tomorrow night, Ohio State and Texas in the Cotton Bowl. And then 6 matchups for your NFL playoff slate of games this weekend. Ian Beckles, who are you taking tonight in that first college football playoff matchup?
I'm a Big Ten guy.
Notre Dame's favored by 1.5.
I'm going Penn State.
Wow.
Guy, I don't like Notre. I've never it's a personal thing for me,
dude.
Well, they beat my boys and they're from Indiana. I can't say Notre Dame. I can't. I'm a Big Ten guy.
Generally dislike every team left in the college football playoffs.
Get it?
I have to pull for Texas because I hate all the rest of them even more. But I've never been a Texas guy either.
No.
Ohio State, Texas,
it's not turned out good.
Once again, I don't know why you'd pick Texas if you watched Ohio State. I know we're in the SEC country, and Ohio State may be the most hated team in the world here. But if you're watching, Ohio State looks pretty damn good.
Somebody just texted in $2,500. They're putting Charlie's putting on Texans money line. They're underdogs by 3 points at home against the Chargers.
Yeah, I don't know. You're pretty confident in that one, brother.
Well, I like when somebody puts a lot of money on the line on something.
You do?
Do you like it? Why?
Because it makes me go, okay, if they're going to do that and take a risk, maybe I should jump on that risk.
I would hate to go in your brain.
What
a mess.
I'd hate to bet on that game. If there are two teams that are like more inconsistent,
I'm saying,
and I'm more confused by who they're going to be in the playoffs, it's those two teams.
It's good value on the money line, though, for Houston.
That's why, though.
Inconsistency in betting, huh? Imagine that.
I'll put $2.50 on it to your $2,500.
Make sure you check out Dignitary Cafe, Ian Beckles. It is always a pleasure to have you in studio.
Pleasure's all mine.
That's all we have time for today. For Casey Warner in the penalty box, for Ian Beckles, for Aaron Jacobson, I'm Pat Donovan. Thank you so much to the men and women who serve our country and allow us to be morons for a living. Sorry, Mom.